flag that you see is the red and white of Austria, and of course we'll be in Austria in 4 weeks' time. 4 weeks from today we'll be in Austria for the Austrian Grand Prix. Austrian Grand Prix taking place at 3 different configurations of circuit around the town itself there in Spielberg. And of course world champions in the past, Nicolai and Jochen Rindt. Just one driver on the grid today, Alexander Rindt.
C'est que l'Autriche sera le partenaire de cette Grand Prix. Les champions du monde l'ont déjà. Et puis les jeunes sont issus d'Autriche et le Finlande et Nicolas.
And 2 weeks' time we're in France for the French Grand Prix. Another country with a huge record of motorsport, of course the first ever motor race took place in France, so we've got third time further north from Newport that will be in 2 weeks' time. Just one driver on the grid today, racing for the Peugeot team, of course, and that is Jean-Alesi, the man who is the old man in some ways of Grand Prix racing, in other ways he's the youngest. In terms of spirit, Jean-Alesi has done 170 programs here in Canada, because this is where he won his took his only injury here in the Canadian Grand Prix. Jean-Alesi from France.
La France représentée par un seul pilote sur la grille de départ aujourd'hui. Il s'agit lui à l'événement de Jean-Alesi, comme il fait si bien le plus vieux pilote de la grille présentement, le côté environnemental, le plus jeune par son enthousiasme et son dévouement à son sport. Et on sait que le grand cirque de la Formule ça va être vraiment doucement à l'arrivée pour la Formule.
And finally, the final flag that we see is that of Argentina. For many years, hosted Grand Prix races, and we hope to go back there again soon. And of course, the mayor of Armando Fangio, who is winning all World Championship titles, anybody else, 5 World Championship titles in the 50s. One driver from Argentina today gets the nails at hand.
Et pour conclure la table, la française, évidemment, le pays du légendaire Armando Fangio, auteur de 5 championnats du monde des pilotes, a représenté aujourd'hui par Gaston Mazepin.
Those nations taking part in the year 2000 FIA Formula 1 World Championship. The flag celebrations being prepared with accolades on the track by the gorgeous Air Canada group off with the 25 onto the grid, and the track will be opened in about 26 minutes time.
C'est sûr que les deux sont ouverts et on s'approchera rapidement du Grand Prix Air Canada de l'arrivée.
4, 5. Oh, blimmin' heck, Tucker. Hello, it's me, walking down the back, doing another lot of interviews. I'm always being used for various sources for the same daily rate. It's amazing.
Live from Montreal, Formula One.
The Grand Prix is the biggest single event on the Canadian sporting calendar. It's a record 125,000 sellout. It's a cool day at Montreal Gilles Villeneuve circuit. Hello there, good afternoon to you all back home. We are 5 hours behind you here. The Grand Prix due off in just over 40 minutes time. You know, this is one of the circuits where things happen. We've always had more than our fair share of drama at this place. Tony Jardine with me. Hi Tony. The old casino overlooks the circuit, doesn't it? You're never quite sure what number's going to come up when you roll the dice.
No, we gave a lift to Bruno Junqueira the other day, the test driver from Williams BMW, and he said the drivers tend to forget that this is more a street circuit than a permanent circuit, and they tend to go for it. But it's a bit like Monte Carlo. The barriers are right at the edge. The first corner funnels in and then goes in down into second gear. Remember last year, Irvine and Coulthard tangled there. Panis had a big accident here. World champions have bitten the wall here. And attrition rate, last 3 years, only 10 finishes.
Yeah, Coulthard comes here, David Coulthard, as a Monaco winner, and we're all wondering if he can do it again. He seems really confident.
Yeah, I mean, he said he's going to explore every inch of the track, and he's been doing that in every test session, every qualifying session. He's been very, very close. He's on it, superb form at the moment, and that includes missing one whole test session after an engine change. He still came back and he was right there.
Let's take a look back at qualifying. A very, very slow start, but a dramatic last minute or so, wasn't it?
Well, it was in these last 4 minutes, absolutely superb. And Rubens Barrichello, who was second here in 95 for Jordan, he decided to change tactics, put more fuel in the car and go for back-to-back runs. Look how close he was to the wall there coming out of 15. Ferrari decided to scrub in the front tyres and use new rear tyres, which gave them a better balance. Rubens Barrichello up into second place in these final dramatic moments of qualifying. David Coulthard out there, ready to respond. He now going for that pole position and going extremely well, bearing in mind he's lost this session in the morning because of the engine change. 15 minutes for that, but this is this last sector of the track where he really got it back. Superb traction out of that hairpin, getting up to the 200 miles per hour mark with the Mercedes engine down there. The Scot really concentrating hard here and putting everything together, and this is where it counts. This last corner, look, 14, 15, right by the wall that catches people out, and this circuit catches out the best. He got it back, crossed the line, look, provisional pole position, but lurking out there already was Michael Schumacher. And Mika Hakkinen, by contrast, in McLaren team. He was not happy with the handling of the car.
Hasn't been all weekend, has he?
No, he hasn't been all weekend. And coming out of the hairpin at the bottom in that last sector, he couldn't get the traction, he said. And he was quite right, because later on, they found a broken bearing in the rear shock absorber. And that means a matter of hundredths and tenths. Michael Schumacher had been out there, had been radioed in turn 10 that Coulthard had got pole position. They said, go for it, go for it. They couldn't tell him what the time was. He said, I just had to go. and in a dying second, split-second timing again from the Ferrari team, he did it. His 5th pole position here.
Absolutely, he's done it again. 5th pole position. That's a record for Michael Schumacher in Canada. Also quickest in the morning warm-up too. You know, Michael Schumacher has always regarded world champion Mika Häkkinen as his main threat from McLaren, but he seems to be developing extra respect now for David Coulthard.
It's always a kind of critical issue to make it in the last lap, honestly, because it's very easy to lose it and just go a little bit over the edge. And I thought I actually did that in the beginning of the sector, that I pushed a little bit too hard. But then I looked at my sector time, I didn't lose too much, and I gained enough in the last sector to make up what I lost in the first.
I knew it was always going to be quite tight with Michael, and he got the right lap.
But is that a big disappointment? I mean, the man who's, as you well know, the poleman hasn't won for ages, has he? So it's no big disadvantage, is it?
Well, I think it is. Even though the stats show that there hasn't been an advantage recently, it's got to be better to be closer to the first corner. And, you know, especially on this track, how tight that first corner is, and traditionally there can be an incident. So I would say that this is one track, along with Monaco, you'd want to be on the pole.
David has always been very strong down here in Canada. It's a matter of consistency, whether he can keep it up. At the moment it looks like he does, and I wish him, honestly, because he's so many years there and he's always been behind Mika, so naturally you cheer up always for the second driver a little bit more than for the first driver. I experience this very often, honestly, so it's naturally the case with me a little bit, and I hope he does well.
I'm quietly confident, and I don't need to go around sort of shouting that from the rooftops. It's a question of getting out there and doing it, and I've got the car, I believe in myself, and it's a question of getting the right strategy.
More mind games from Schumacher. A dozen races, Tony, since the pole sitter has won.
Yeah, but Schumacher 3 wins here, out to make up for Monte Carlo. David Coulthard trying to stop him. He's been ahead here twice and gone out through mechanical failure. Barrichello's had a 2nd place here. Häkkinen, with those problems, could still win from that position, says Ron Dennis. Frentzen aimed for top 6 and he got it. Villeneuve got the top 6. Car in low downforce trim. Very, very good indeed. Truly car change from morning to afternoon. Zonta smiling away his best ever grid position there. And De La Rosa inside the top 10 again. Traction problems for Sikela and for Herbert. Ralph, leg okay, car not okay. Traction problems for them and brake problems this morning. Verstappen, big crash in qualifying, lost a wheel. Wirtz, who's barrel rolled here before 2 years ago. Salo, then Irvine, mystified by the Jaguars' performance. His turn to scratch his head. Elasi outside the top 10 for the first time in 10 years. Engine went button. Fuel feed problems, couldn't get full revs at all. Deniz, then Genet, who hit the wall, turn 15. Heidfeld, all sorts of dramas for him over the curb. And Marzipan at the back, as usual.
Still looking for you, Mazzacani. Who's this guy calls me Marzipan all the time?
I don't know, but
He'll
I like
catch
his
up
cakes.
with you soon. Don't worry about that. Last year's race, well, the temperature was absolutely soaring on the track. 44 degrees. We had mayhem, as Tony mentioned, at the first corner. 3 world champions then played the wall game after the final chicane. And it was the world champion, Mika Häkkinen, who scooped the pot.
In Canada, it is go! Michael Schumacher moves across, cuts across. Häkkinen, Eddie Irvine trying to go on the inside, failing to do so. Are they all going to get around? There's one. That's it. It's a Prost again. Jarno Trulli has gone off, but hopefully they'll be able to keep the race going. Oh, and off goes Zonta. That's Ricardo Zonta in the VAR.
Safety car's out, Murray.
Schumacher goes, Häkkinen goes, Irvine goes, Coulthard goes, Fisichella goes. There's the patch where the VAR was. David Hill out of the race. David Hill retiring. Oh, Mark Schumacher out of the race. Michael Schumacher slams out of turn 13. Villeneuve out. Jacques Villeneuve, who I was talking about, has done exactly the same thing that Michael Schumacher did. Coulthard challenges. David Coulthard passes Eddie Irvine. No, he doesn't. Out goes Irvine. Out goes Coulthard. Oh, my goodness. Mika Häkkinen out on his own. He's going to go through on the inside and they're going to touch. And Madara is in there as well. And no, Irvine gets through. Now, that was great stuff. Eddie Irvine is scything his way through the field. Oh, past Johnny Herbert goes Eddie Irvine all over the place. They both go over the apex apex of turn 13, and Eddie Irvine's gigantic push has succeeded. And off goes Brinson. Well, right in the closing stages of the Canadian Grand Prix. And I think we're going to see, for the first time ever, a Grand Prix finished behind the safety car. Mika Häkkinen wins in Montreal.
Now then, Tony, how about that wall? The tourist board say it says "Bienvenue au Quebec." Welcome to Quebec. They ain't joking, are they? It's sort of come to mama time for some of the biggest names in F1, isn't it?
Yeah, and after all the champions had hit it last year, it became a wailing wall because they were complaining so often. And Michael Schumacher has asked the organisers to clean up their act. Now you can see Damon Hill there on the dirty stuff, off the line, onto the concrete outfield there, into the magnetic wall. Now Villeneuve, if you look how he went in, front on, and he was way offline. He's already lost it coming across the apex because of all the dust and dirt that was dragged onto the track by people going across the apex. Even the great Michael Schumacher here, caught out, bang, that was a big crash for him as well. Getting sucked into the wall, and they've made some changes here on the inside, extending the gravel trap, trying to prevent that from happening yet again.
It's still a place very well worth watching throughout the race, isn't it?
Certainly is.
Well, let me just remind you how things stand in the Drivers' Championship. Around about the halfway stage, Michael Schumacher on top. He goes for his 40th Grand Prix victory, by the way. Coulthard has never won here in Canada. Häkkinen subdued, as we've been saying so far. Barrichello, though, he has been very much on the pace. Fisichella second here for the last couple of years. Ralf Schumacher, his injured leg is okay, but his starting position of 12th certainly isn't. So then David Coulthard really is carrying Britain's hopes in this championship. He really has raised his game this year. He's the man of the moment in Formula One. Is Coulthard. The talk shows want a slice of him, and he has been off to New York for a late night with David Letterman.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome David Coulthard. David? Welcome to the show. The championship is going pretty well for you so far, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going really well. I'm catching up with Schumacher, only 12 points behind.
The dreaded Michael Schumacher. Now, do you know this guy off the race, off the course?
Yeah, no, we actually worked together as two of the directors of the Grand Prix Drivers Association working on safety, but the problem is we keep running into each other on the track. So,
what's the fastest you go in these cars?
Fastest is Monza. We do 220 miles an hour.
220 miles an hour. And do you ever, like, sneeze at that speed? What the hell happens then?
Oh, well, I've never actually sneezed in the car, but I don't know if I can mention that there's one thing you can do. You can't pass wind in a corner. You can only do it on the straight.
Well, there's some insight for you.
Yeah.
He's been blasting round here, okay, I can tell you, but no rowdy New York studio razzmatazz for us. The way we do it, to find a quiet spot on the jetty on the St. Lawrence Seaway and sit David Coulthard down to sample the Murray Meets experience.
Not many people realise, and I'm here to point it out, that you actually have 3 years less experience than Michael Schumacher, Al and Mika Häkkinen. So do you feel that there's a lot of potential with Coulthard still to come? Are you learning all the time?
Absolutely, and that's, you know, despite Mika having sort of romped to a couple of World Championships in the last 2 years, and there's been a lot of criticism pushed my way about not being hungry enough, you know, and not being able to mount a challenge, all those sort of things. And, you know, I thought it was unfair because of the fact they have more experience. They've reached a point in their careers where that experience and maturity that comes from life does make a difference. You know, any good driver shows flashes of great performances early on in their career, but they don't tend to put together a real consistent challenge for a championship until later on, when you've sort of grown up a little bit. And that's the area I think I'm getting into now in my career, and still feel I'm learning and still feel that I've got a lot more to give.
One of the bits of conventional wisdom is that your team boss, Ron Dennis, is, quote, closer to Mika than he is to you because Mika was involved in that awful crash at Adelaide and he nearly died. Do you feel that?
I think that it's inevitable that Ron, having potentially almost lost a driver for his team, what happened to Mika back in Adelaide '95, that I can't imagine how close they became during that period. And you know, I don't have a problem with that as such. It was just a question of making sure that I had every equal opportunity with the machinery and the situation as and when you hit the track. And I'm comfortable that's the case. You know, I'm not with McLaren to have, you know, lots of friends away from the track. Of course, I do have a lot of friends, but why I'm here is because I want to win races. I want to be the world champion, and then I want to get on with the rest of my life.
Do you have any sort of a life outside Formula One at all?
Yeah, I have a life, of course, but it's sort of compacted into 2-3 days in between testing and racing. You learn to live your life that way, and you look for November when largely you have the time off of not driving to have your sort of main holiday and catch up with family and friends. But we all live that life. It's exactly the same for you and your colleagues and what have you. For the people sitting at home, they have the best opportunity because they can live a normal life and watch the Grand Prix. And I know a lot of people would love to be here in Montreal and be in this paddock and be part of the F1 package. And of course it is great, but we all would love to be able to spend some time at home.
You can't lead a normal life. You're David Coulthard, world-famous racing driver. Here and now, there are 10 races to go. There are 100 winning points left. You are 12 points behind Michael Schumacher. Importantly, you are 5 points ahead of Mika. In your mind, can you win the World Championship?
Absolutely, it's possible. The gap between myself and Michael is less than it has been, and it would only take another win here and Michael to have some problem or other, and suddenly you're right in there with a shout. And it's going to be a whole season-long battle. You know, the people at home are going to get I think a classic Grand Prix and World Championship battle. And I'm a part of that and have the opportunity to be a part of that right until the end, and I believe I have the opportunity to win it.
Coulthard needs that first Canadian victory badly. 1 and 2 of the cars going out onto the circuit here in Canada. 25 minutes to go to the start of the Canadian Grand Prix. The circuit named after Jacques' father, Gilles Villeneuve. He won the first Grand Prix here in a Ferrari back in '78. Jacques hasn't done that well on his home track, but on Father's Day, he's got the BAR up on the 3rd row. Some achievement that. Let's drive Montreal with him, and it's Martin Brundle to talk you round.
Onto the pit straight with Jacques Villeneuve in the BAR. Not much time to look at your pit board here as you build up to 190 miles an hour, sweeping down to turn 1. You try to use it as a deceleration zone, really, into 2, a quick jab of the throttle, then hook up on the curb on the inside, use it like a railway line, and then get on the power early towards 3, up to 165 miles an hour, and down to just 75. Clip the curb on the inside. Be very careful on the exit. Correcting the oversteer there, now into turn 5, 165 miles an hour around the wall, and brake very, very late into 7. Now just 60. Building up to 90, a bit of space on the exit. BAR still giving him some oversteer, up now to 190 miles an hour. Slight right curve, then you're going to go underneath the bridge. It's bumpy, a few manhole covers, and make sure to clip the curb on the inside. Now again, 90 miles an hour on the exit, and take the line of least resistance, bringing the car over to the left-hand side into the main spectator area, and brake very, very late for the hairpin, 40 miles an hour. Almost full lock there for Villeneuve, but good traction on the exit this time. A little left curve. Now there's nothing much for the drivers to do. This circuit, of course, named after Jacques Villeneuve's father. He's heading around 200 miles an hour down to the great last chicane. Brake very, very late. Now you must connect with the curb on the inside, launch across the rumble strips, mind the wall, over the start-finish line at the end of these grid hatchings. A good run there for Jacques Villeneuve.
Best qualifying position of the season so far for Jacques Villeneuve. He'll want a good race today. 120,000 here watching him. Well, you obviously enjoy our competition, and here is the outcome of the little teaser that we set you in Monaco. What a great prize, a VIP trip for you and a friend to Monza for the Italian Grand Prix. Up for grabs was full Paddock Club hospitality for qualifying and the race, courtesy of 1-to-1 and Jaguar Racing. Really a dream ticket for any F1 fan. The question we asked, which of the current Jaguar drivers has won the Italian Grand Prix? A, Eddie Irvine, or B, Johnny Herbert? The answer, Johnny Herbert and the Benetton back in 1995. The lucky winner, Jim Mantley from Cambridge. Congratulations, Jim, and we'll see you at Monza in September. There we are, that's the casino that we have been talking about overlooking the circuit. Will it be a lucky day for Jenson Button? Subject of so much speculation. He'll be talking about his F1 future when you rejoin us, and there's Martin's grid walk as well. You're back with us in Montreal, looking at a very relaxed Jenson Button, having a bit of fun with test driver Bruno Junqueira. Not much fun for him, though, so far this weekend. He's starting down the back in 18th place in the Williams. All this at a time when his seat in the team is in jeopardy. Here he is with Martin.
Jenson Button, thanks for talking to F1 ITV. So, what do you think of this Formula One lark so far?
I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. It's very hard work. A lot of people don't realise how hard work it is and how much there is involved. But I'm getting there, I think, and I think towards the end of the year I'll be a lot more complete than I was at the start.
I said to you on the grid just before the race at Silverstone that you seem to have one emotional level, which I thought was a great compliment. Yeah. You thought I was questioning your partying ability or something like that.
No, trust me, I can party away from the circuit.
But, you know, you're 20 years old, your calmness is amazing. How do you do that? How do you keep such a level head at all times?
I think it's having a father like mine you do. He's a bit crazy, so I have to be a bit more calm, sort of the things out at home. So I think that's probably why.
Seriously? It must be. Have you always been like that all through your life? Have you just been...
I think I've been quite calm, and I don't know. I don't think there's no use in getting all, hyped up about things. You just stay relaxed, and I think you do a much better job.
we're halfway through the season and the media have already got you booted out of the Williams team.
They're playing table tennis next
Yeah.
year.
How daft is that?
It is really, because nobody knows what's going to happen. This is the 8th race of the season. It's a bit early to be talking about next year. And everyone thinks I've already left, so I don't really know where they got that from, because I think I'm going to be the first one that's told what's happening next year. So really, I've just got to concentrate on what I'm doing and just concentrate on that, and then at the end of the year, we'll see what happens.
So how can you respond to that sort of stuff on and off the track? How can you handle that?
Well, I've got quite used to it now, because I think I've been asked, the last 3 races I've been asked about 10 times what it feels like to be out of Williams' seat next year, so I'm quite used to it now.
So the spotlight is burning quite brightly on you at the moment, all the chit-chat about Montoya, etc., etc. And I'm not going to be the 11th question this weekend of how does it feel like to be booed out, William, because I know your situation. But do you feel that pressure, and can you handle it?
I don't feel the pressure at all. As I said, not from the team anyway. And I think I can handle it. But no, I feel very confident with the rest of the season, and that's what is important to me at the moment. So.
Are you sure we'll be following you on F1 ITV next year in a Formula 1 car?
Well, I hope so. I don't know what else I'm going to do. I don't know what else I can do except go back to school. didn't really plan to be out of Formula 1 in 1 year. So.
Now, I think it was Martin Hines said to me that you were one of the very first that benefited from karting age racing, dropping down to 8 years old. Is that a fact? You were one of the first.
When I was 8.
Yeah, and you were one of the first to be able to do that.
I think I was the 4th year. The 4th year,
Right.
It was 8 years old, I think, in England.
Do you think that is a key aspect of why you're able to be so good so young?
I think yeah, starting at 8 years old, you do learn a lot more than when you're 20 years old in a category like that. When you pick it up a lot faster as well. So now I'm sure it has, and also racing abroad in Europe and all that, with different cultures and stuff. I'm sure it definitely helps you get used to life as well as racing more a lot faster.
Here's a question I'd rather ask than answer. How good are you? Are you the next big thing?
Wait and see. That's all I can say, really.
All right, good answer. Best of luck and congratulations on everything you've achieved so far in Formula 1. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you.
Tony Ping Pong, back to school. What's occurring with him?
Well, as an ex-teacher, perhaps I could try and teach him something, but I doubt it. He's so streetwise. He's so good. He's very, very good. I don't think he'll disappear from Formula 1, but speaking to his father and his manager this morning, they're preparing for the worst, just in case they have to. Somewhere like BAR is an option. You know, Villeneuve might be out, Zonta might be out, Villeneuve who could overdrive here yet again and be on his way. We don't know. But the thing is, he is a great talent. You've heard Eddie Jordan talk about him during this weekend. But his job is to drive his best, drive his socks off till the end of this season.
I don't think too many people are going to be talking to us, are they? Because we arrived in the paddock this morning, saw Ricardo Zonta, we went, Ricardo, fantastic, well done, all the best. He goes out to warm up and look what happens to him.
I know, well that was you. You stood up and gave him the big firm handshake and he was beaming all over his face, his best ever grid position. And within seconds of going out on his installation lap, we think the Honda engine let go, unfortunately, so he didn't get to do the warm-up at all.
Here's Villeneuve in morning warm-up as well.
Yeah, now, this is what I'm saying. He can tend to overdrive in front of his home crowd. A rear brake locked as well, and off he went. Let's hope he keeps it together this afternoon for Jacques Villeneuve.
1 or 2 facts and figures to enhance your enjoyment of the Canadian Grand Prix. Michael Schumacher's won 2 of the last 3 here. Hakkinen, last year's winner, but he retired from 6 of his 8 races. David Coulthard has never won here, never been on the podium from 6 starts. It's McLaren's 500th Formula 1 World Championship race. Congratulations to them, and to Ron Dennis on his CBE as well. Fisichella is the only driver to finish in every Grand Prix this season, and 14 wins from pole in the last 31 races. But the last winner from pole, Mika Hakkinen in Hungary, some 13 races ago. This one always a race of attrition, and if recent history is anything to go by, it's unlikely there'll be more than 10 finishes. Well, what is the race strategy likely to be? James Allen has been investigating.
Canada is traditionally a one-stop race, but the problem is it's very, very hard on the brakes. A one-stop fuel load weighs 85 kilos, and the brakes take a real hammering with peak temperatures of around 1,000 degrees centigrade. Now, this morning in the warm-up, both Ferraris tried two-stop fuel, but I think that was more just to keep McLaren guessing. The problem with using 2 stops around here is that you need to build a lead of at least 28 seconds in order to make your extra stop and rejoin back in the lead. Plus, if you get any kind of safety car period, and we often do here in Montreal, you're absolutely finished. So I think most people will stop just once today, making the stop around lap 30 to 35. So with McLaren and Ferrari on the same strategy, it's a straight fight between Michael Schumacher and David Coulthard.
Thank you, James. Everyone very, very happy indeed. It's just a lot cooler here. The temperature just 18 degrees. A huge contrast, I know, to all of you back home. 15 minutes or so to go to the start of the Grand Prix. What do you make of that, looking at the McLaren team there, Tony, of the situation between Mika Häkkinen and David Coulthard now? Well,
I think, and there he is, there's Adrian Newey, the technical director, and Mika Häkkinen just whispering in his ear. I think that there is a little bit of a swing to David Coulthard. What we've got to remember, it was a lukewarm Ron Dennis, I thought, on the podium after Monte Carlo.
Who's that in the shot, by the way?
That was our James. That was our James, working out exactly what's going to happen strategically. But Ron Dennis is actually engineering on Mika Häkkinen's car as well, so there is a little bit of a bias there. But to counter that, Ron does let them do, both as #1 drivers, to go for it, and that, to his credit, is a great thing about McLaren. There's Rubens Barrichello there moving over to the right-hand side, just consulting with Ignazio Giunti there. That's the guy who's one of the great engineers at Ferrari, and hopefully they've got their strategy right.
All right, well, in past years, Martin Brundle has missed this race for ITV because he's been racing at Le Mans. I'm delighted he's on the grid for us now, and hopefully we can hear from him. Hiya, Martin, there you go.
Hello, Jim. Hello, everybody. And welcome to the grid. It's slightly curious down there because it's very, very calm, and I don't feel it's necessarily tension from everybody, but maybe it is just the calm before the storm. Let's have a wander along the grid, see who we can find as ever and what's going on. Both Ferraris have arrived very, very late onto the grid. Michael seems to have a problem. Plenty of time here still to be kissing pretty girls and all that. Look at the smile on his face. He certainly seems happy with life at the moment. But yeah, he just seems incredibly relaxed, doesn't he? Excuse me, I'm sorry about that. So here's Coulthard. Let's have a quick word with Coulthard if we can. And he's talking to his engineer. So can we butt in, David?
We're pretending we're working because we can see you coming.
You're pretending you're working, so... So tell me about it. You're in with a chance of the championship. You've really been elevated after Monaco. What can you know, what's your mentality for today? You've got to score points, but at the same time, you've got to take points off of Schumacher.
Yeah, no, I definitely want to have an attacking mood as I go into the race, but really it's a question of what happens at the start and then playing it from there. You know, I can't just drive through the guy, and I don't know how much pace he's going to have, but clearly we've seen through Friday and Saturday we've been quite evenly matched.
But he knows of all the people on the grid, you're the one most prepared to have a go at him. Do you think that's in his mind?
I certainly hope so. Maybe you should go there and remind him.
I was trying to get hold of him. He was too busy kissing pretty ladies, but good luck, mate. See you later on. Let's have a word with Heidi, actually. She's standing over here, and see what she's thinking about her man's chance today. I'm terribly sorry to be rude and butt in, Heidi, but judging by the cap you're wearing, I guess there's no doubt who you're supporting today anyway.
Yeah, I have a favourite.
I mean, he's really going well. Is he up for it? I mean, what's your vibes from him?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course, he's going to win. He's going to win the whole thing. I'm the eternal optimist. So.
Good job too. Good job. So, I mean, where do you watch the race from? What do you do during the race? You go and hide behind the pits and with your head in your hands, or what happens?
I usually watch the start in the pits, and then I find someplace quiet where you can see the times and the screen, everything. So.
Does he ever sort of say, oh, God, you know, Heidi, I don't know what to do today, or does he talk through things with you?
I'm going to tell you. That's a secret. Team secrets, team secrets.
Secret. Well, you give less team secrets away than most people. Thanks for talking to us, Heidi. See you later on. I want to talk to somebody from Ferrari. I want to get a bit of a spin on what they were doing in the warm-up this morning, because they changed their strategy. I've only got 45 seconds left, but let's just see if I can blag a quick word. Ross, any chance of a quick word? Very quick, 30 seconds, 20 seconds. Obviously you were moving your strategies around this morning in the warm-up. Are you absolutely clear what you want to do this afternoon? You're satisfied you got the right picture?
I think so, yes. So the rain's predicted, so that might throw a bit of a spanner into it. But it's a one-stop here, going as long as you can. That's what everyone will be doing. It's just a question if the safety car comes out or it rains.
So that you've heard that rain is predicted. That's the first I've heard of that, I have to say. When are you told it's coming?
I'm not going to tell you that, but I know it's coming.
Yeah, OK, interesting one. Thanks for talking to us, Ross. I think it's time we threw back to the studio.
Thanks very much indeed, Martin. So rain on the way, and that really could make things extra interesting, couldn't it, Tony?
It could, but usually Ferrari are extremely well prepared for that. They will have set up, you know, the car in different guises to cope with it. They will be able to change the strategy accordingly. But if rain does come here, it's a very smooth surface, and it's very, very difficult to drive. There's Alain Prost, and boss of his very troubled team indeed, and there's been problems for them.
Let's join Louise Goodman. She has BAR's Craig Pollock with her.
Craig, 2 cars in the top 8. You're having a strong weekend, aren't you?
Well, we started off pretty well. The problem is now is the race. So we've been very good in qualifying 6th and 8th position. If we can get through the first corner in the same places and then start to fight, we'll be very, very happy.
This is obviously Jacques' home Grand Prix. Is he extra pumped up for this race?
It's actually extremely calm. I think he was worse in Monaco than he is here. We've tried to protect him as much as humanly possible because the crowds are just 100% behind him, but he's going to be fine. He really is fine. He's very calm.
Have a good one.
Need it. Thank you.
And Jacques Villeneuve needs it as well. Pedro de la Rosa, he's been going pretty well. George Harrison, one of the stars down there, always enjoys his Formula One. You know, if you're getting your first taste of Formula One this season, welcome and don't go away. You really have picked the right race. The Canadian Grand Prix has never sold us short. It's been a total blast, to use the local vernacular, and we're very nearly ready to go. You're about to see the Canadian Grand Prix from the Gilles Villeneuve circuit on Montreal's St. Lawrence Seaway. We've just heard Ross Brawn of Ferrari telling us it is going to rain. In the ITV commentary box we have Martin Brundle and Murray Walker. Now Murray, you have made your own personal check. What is the latest?
Absolutely, Jim. I just stepped outside the door and I felt a few drops of precipitation on my arm. But there's another thing to say, and that is that Ron Dennis, the boss of McLaren, may have got the CBE and he richly deserves it, but having successfully overcome the combined efforts of two very determined security men to prevent me getting into the commentary box, I think I deserve one too. However, there are three other things to say. The first is the first corner here, that's the bottom of that diagram that you're looking at now, is always one that causes a lot of trouble at this event. We've had a Lacey and Trulli coming together for the last 2 years, so we need to watch out for that. The second thing, as you've heard from James Allen, is this race is going to be a question of strategy. It's terribly, terribly hard on the brakes, and the teams will have been working very hard to get the balance of the right fuel load and the braking absolutely right, because if you start off with too much fuel, which will give you a long stint, your brakes can be in trouble. So that's something to watch too. And the third thing is that McLaren really do need to do well in this race. They are still behind Ferrari in the Constructors' Championship, and although David Coulthard is ahead of Häkkinen, he's still 12 points behind Michael Schumacher.
Yes, and all through free practice and indeed qualifying, there's been fractions between the top four cars. Barrichello very much on the pace this weekend, looking, other than qualifying itself, as if he might have a tenth of a second even over Michael Schumacher, but he's tended to fade a little bit in the races, some of the races so far this year, but Barrichello looking extremely strong around here. Coulthard too, probably a little disappointed with not being on pole, as you can see there, just a tenth of a second behind, but he's got a good race car too. But Michael Schumacher on the better side of the grid with a slight, there's an 8-metre difference between the first and second rows of the grid, so I guess from pole to second place, about a 4-metre head start, and that gives Schumacher just about all he needs, plus the inside line down to turn one. But he knows that Coulthard will want to and must have a go at him, must keep taking points away from him. So I'm expecting quite a squabble at the front, and as we've always seen here, and as Murray's already told you, tends to be a concertina effect into that first corner, and often, because it's a decent run to a very slow corner, quite a lot of speed carried when they arrive, and we tend to have a few people tripping over each other. Happened already this morning in other races too, into that first corner.
Yes, it's the one to watch. So the grid, as you can see, is being cleared. We have the customary formation lap. And this circuit is some 2.7 miles long. It's on a man-made island in the St. Lawrence Seaway, which is overlooked by the wonderful city of Montreal. You'll see the skyline as they exit turns 1 and 2. And they build up at this circuit to two places where they're doing very nearly 200 miles an hour, and at both ends of the course there is a 40-mile-an-hour hairpin, so you can imagine what that does to the brakes, as Heinz-Harald Frentzen found out to his cost last year when a front disc exploded when he was in second place with only about 3 laps to go.
Yes, they're already changing discs on Barrichello's car. I interrupted Ross to have a quick word with him on the line, unaware actually they've got quite a drama going on Barrichello's car, but we're looking at two Scarlet Ferraris, 2 silver McLarens, and then 2 Jordans just behind them. The odd man out is Villeneuve, who's done a very good job in 6th place in the BAR. Then there's really nobody, I think, behind that will be storming through the field. I don't think anybody's got a particularly good car underneath him that's going to surprise us through the afternoon. We're watching the sharp end of the grid with the Jordans really mixing it with Villeneuve's BAR.
2 things to say, and you've just reminded me, Martin. BAR, they've done better here than they've done anywhere else in their short Formula One history, because Jacques Villeneuve, the hero of Canada...
Look here, Murray, Coulthard's car, as he looks like he's got some kind of clutch problem or something, and he's away, so Coulthard's away. They started the car up, it looked like it had gone into gear, probably stalled, so they lifted the back of the car, started it up with it in gear. Coulthard immediately now taking up his second position.
which he is entitled to do. Some of you remembering when Michael Schumacher passed Damon Hill on the formation lap at the British Grand Prix and got black flagged as a result of it, may not have realised that the rules have been changed. David is perfectly entitled to regain his position, provided all the cars on the grid had not passed him, which they certainly hadn't.
That's right, so a little bit of a scare early on for Coulthard. Don't know if he's got a slightly sticky clutch there. Sometimes the clutch drags a little bit, especially when you're sitting on the line. If you pull first gear a bit too early, the clutch units are absolutely tiny, a little bigger than the size of a man's fist on these cars, transmitting the 800 plus horsepower, and often they can overheat a little bit or drag, or maybe Coulthard didn't pull the clutch fully in, and well, hopefully it's not a technical problem, otherwise he's going to have a major drama come the start proper.
Well, we're going to know very shortly. This circuit is only used once a year. It is a park during the rest of the year. And there you can see one of the three bridges as they exit Casino Hairpin. That's one of the 40-mile-an-hour corners after the 200-mile-an-hour approach. And it's where they start building up for another 200-mile-an-hour run down to the notorious turn 15, the left-hander chicane, where no less than 3 world championships went off last year. Schumacher and Damon Hill and Jacques Villeneuve.
This is a low grip circuit, Murray. As you say, it's a parkland circuit the rest of the year round. So low tyre degradation, tyre wear, and I'm expecting the cars to run as far as they can. I'm expecting them to have as much fuel in as they can possibly get in just to run the first stint. They may choose a different strategy. I was trying to get it out of Ross on the start line. Of course, he wasn't going to give it to me. I'm wondering if they may put a bit less fuel in Barrichello's car and make him more of a menace to the McLarens, but I'm expecting the rest of them to go to around lap 40 before they come in for the one and only pit stop. People midfield and back may go for 2.
I'd agree with that, maybe even longer. So, remember, the first corner is going to be absolutely critical, crucial. Are they all going to get round it? It's Monaco all over again. And already the pole position man, Michael Schumacher, as you see, Jenson Button way back there in 18th position in the white and blue Williams, forms up.
Yes, Jenson had a fuel pickup problem in qualifying, so it certainly hampered his performance there. I don't think we've seen Jenson's genuine speed back there in 18th. We'll keep a close eye on him.
Now, you've got a fast starter in front in David Coulthard. Michael Schumacher hasn't always got away quickly. For instance, at Monaco, for the second year in succession, he went back to Italy to check on his starting.
Look at this, Murray. Both Ferraris pointing to the right, both McLarens pointing to the left. They're heading towards each other before they even get away.
5th light, and then it goes out. Action! Action! Schumacher leads. Coulthard is second. Hakkinen is third. Barrichello is dropping down through the field. Rubens Barrichello's had a bad start, and Jacques Villeneuve has had an absolute flyer. He's come up from 6th on the grid to 3rd, and Eddie Irvine is left standing in the Jaguar. Has the Jaguar affliction, that bad clutch problem struck again? It certainly looks like it. But a monumentally quick start from Jacques Villeneuve ahead of Rubens Barrichello in the BAR. Eddie Irvine being pushed off the grid, the first retirement, I presume, of this year's Canadian Grand Prix. Jacques Villeneuve has done it again, and Canada will be absolutely euphoric about that.
It's a short lap here, but they're already pushing Irvine past our commentary position. They've got about 100 metres to go before they clear him. They will clear him in time, Murray. I do not anticipate the pace car. Dream start for Schumacher and Coulthard, and that's a problem there. The BAR Villeneuve is not on the same pace as Ferrari and McLaren. He is going to be a real nuisance now for Barrichello and Hakkinen. This is a 2-horse race.
Bad news for Mika Hakkinen in his efforts to make it 3 world championships in a row. Let's have another look. Watch Michael Schumacher sprint away, but watch on the left Jacques Villeneuve. You see, there he is. He's already passed Rubens Barrichello, who has to brake to avoid David Coulthard, who gets ahead of Villeneuve and goes through. Jacques Villeneuve up into 3rd position. Now we're going to see it with the French-Canadian. He's passed Frentzen on the left. There is Coulthard in front of him. Barrichello is passed by Villeneuve, and now he goes up into still 4th position. He's got the inside line. He squeezes David Coulthard out, and there he is again.
It's Hakkinen he's squeezing out. Murray. Coulthard was ahead of them So it's Barrichello away poorly, Hakkinen away reasonably. Hakkinen breaks too early for the first corner. Villeneuve goes right around the outside, and that then pushes Hakkinen behind even Barrichello as they scrambled out of that turn 2. And that is how it all happened, and that's released these two cars now out into the lead.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right, Martin. Jacques Villeneuve is going to hold them up, so it is between race leader Michael Schumacher, second place man David Coulthard, the first two in the World Championship, and Barrichello is attacking.
Yes, somebody, I think it was possibly even Della Rosa past Frentzen into Della Rosa there, look, up into 6th place, having just nailed Frentzen into the casino hairpin. So Della Rosa very much on the move in the Arrows.
Yeah, and he started an excellent night. The Arrows is getting better and better. So there is Villeneuve and Barrichello and Hakkinen, and in 6th place is Della Rosa. Frentzen down into 7th position. And this Canadian Grand Prix has got a long way to go. Here is a replay of Della Rosa coming down to the hairpin, nipping through on the inside of Heinz-Harald Frentzen's Jordan with its Mugen engine.
Yes, Frentzen asleep there. I don't think he really expected an Arrows to be coming up the inside of him like that. You've got to assume that Della Rosa is... you've got to assume that Della Rosa is on low fuel. I'm just looking at the computer here. Investigation involving car 2 by the stewards. I've got a sneaky feeling that Coulthard was rolling on the start, that Coulthard was underway, and we know he maybe had a clutch problem anyway, so we're watching that closely. It's possible Coulthard jumped the start, in my view. I did see his wheels. James, what can you tell us in the pits?
Yeah, does seem to be a feeling down here that there may be a problem with Coulthard, and it certainly is relating to the start. The stewards are looking at it. It'll be about 15 to 20 minutes probably before they make any kind of decision. There is a maximum time, of course, about 25 minutes. On Della Rosa, though, I was talking to one or two of the engineers just on the start line who are in front of him, of teams from in front of Della Rosa in the grid. They were saying, we're going to really worry about that guy. The Arrows hasn't got a big enough fuel tank to do a one-stopper here, so he has to go 2. He's going to be cutting through like a hot knife through butter.
James, you're absolutely right, because as you said it, we saw Della Rosa attacking Hakkinen. He's coming towards us on the screen now. Hakkinen in the silver and black McLaren. Della Rosa from Spain, from Barcelona, in the orange Arrows. And he's pulling well away from Heinz-Harald Frentzen, who is in 7th position. David Coulthard, though, is the fastest man on the circuit. There is only 7/10 of a second now between Michael Schumacher in the lead and David Coulthard in 2nd position. And there is 4.5 seconds between Coulthard, who is 2nd, and Villeneuve, who is holding up Barrichello, Hakkinen, Della Rosa and Frentzen behind him. There's the proof, look at it.
I can't be absolutely sure Coulthard jumped the start, but I do have a feeling I could see his front wheels turning, but it was a very close call. Or maybe, just maybe, it was the fact that the mechanics were on the track, Murray, once the green flag had been waved, starting Coulthard's car up.
Well, we're going to know the position soon. It would be terrible for David if he was delayed in any way with a time penalty, because he's the only man in the race against Michael Schumacher at the present moment. I'm now going to stick my neck out, but Michael Schumacher seems at this stage of the race just to need to keep going to get yet another victory as Della Rosa in the background attacks Mika Hakkinen.
Yes, Della Rosa not quite got enough speed. That McLaren Mercedes-Benz got plenty of grunt, as we know, but Della Rosa there well in Hakkinen's slipstream, but couldn't do anything about it, and surely he has a significantly lower fuel load.
Now, the Canadian Grand Prix Gilles Villeneuve circuit on the Ile Notre Dame is an easier track to pass on than many of them, but Jacques Villeneuve there is not going to be relinquishing his position, his 3rd position, to Rubens Barrichello lightly, and Barrichello will have to pick his chance very carefully indeed. Probably down to the hairpin, which they're approaching now, would be where Rubens chooses to attack. But this is a low downforce circuit, and the BAR car goes extremely well here in comparison with Monaco, where it went very badly as a high downforce track.
Yes, Mika Hakkinen struggling there with a bit of traction out of turn 7 and allowed Della Rosa to get even closer. This pair up front are a full 1.3 seconds a lap faster than that following pack just coming into view now, headed by Villeneuve. Exactly what you'd expect. That's the kind of pace advantage they have got, but clearly Barrichello and Hakkinen can do nothing about even getting close to the back of that BAR, let alone overtaking it.
So on lap 5 with 64 still to go as we watch Villeneuve 3rd, Hakkinen having a look at Barrichello and dodging back in again. De La Rosa in 6th position. They're all being held up by Villeneuve. And now David Coulthard is 5 seconds ahead of this battle, and he is just one second behind Michael Schumacher. So it's Schumacher, Coulthard, Villeneuve, Barrichello, Hakkinen, De La Rosa. Frentzen is 7th, Zonta is 8th, Trulli is 9th, and Jos Verstappen in the second arrows is 10th. The arrows are going extremely well.
Yes, Jenson Button unfortunately has slipped back to 19th position. Johnny Herbert down in 12th. Eddie Irvine did join the race, but 2 laps down.
Yeah, it's not looking good for Jaguar, but you heard from Jim Rosenthal earlier on that this is very much a race of attrition, always is. If more than 10 cars finish this race, I'm going to be pretty surprised. 22 started it, 22 are still running, but already Eddie Irvine is 2 laps behind the race leader, who is on his 6th lap.
Well, this is the problem we've seen so many times, Murray, I mean, for example, when Hakkinen was catching Salo in Monaco, a full 1.5 seconds a lap faster than him, as soon as he got anywhere near his slipstream, couldn't get any closer. We've seen it happen so often. It's a problem with the aerodynamics on the cars, and we know for a fact the Ferrari and the McLaren are 1.5 seconds faster than Jacques Villeneuve, and they just can't do anything about it. And that's why this man, De La Rosa, can stay with that McLaren of Hakkinen.
Yeah, and these pictures, these fabulous pictures, just underline what Superman these Formula One drivers are, because they're driving at speeds up to 200 miles an hour here. You can see them jostling for position with those 18,000 RPM engines spinning behind them, some 800 horsepower, and you can see that, like Monaco, this place is all Armco and walls. There is virtually nowhere to go if you go off. Yes, it's better than Monaco, where the track and the Armco are virtually one. There are some small runoff areas here, but you've got to be millimetrically perfect in your positioning of the car. And if you've got someone in front of you and someone trying to pass you behind, that's very difficult as we ride with David Coulthard. And now coming towards us on lap 7, Michael Schumacher leads. David Coulthard is second. Look back down the track, and the gap is now 9 seconds between Coulthard in the silver and black McLaren and Jacques Villeneuve in 3rd position in the BAR. Coulthard exits that notorious turn 15.
I just hope they're not going to penalise Coulthard's car or anything he's done. I hope he gets away with that, because we really do need to have somebody out there keeping Michael Schumacher honest through the afternoon. And Coulthard's the only man in a position to do that at the moment, with Barrichello and Hakkinen still tucked up behind the BAR. And look, that sort of almost mandatory 50 metres behind they seem to have to follow. They'll turn into the corner in the dirty air. The car will understeer, the front will slide. You can't get on the power quite as early. The harder you try, the worse it becomes, and it's just stalemate.
Now, the interesting thing about the situation as it is now is that Michael Schumacher has always regarded Mika Hakkinen as his main rival for the year 2000. But things are starting to change. David Coulthard is ahead of his teammate in the championship, and Michael Schumacher admitted last night that he's now regarding David as a real threat too, and the proof is down there on the track here in Canada, because Coulthard is the only man who is holding a candle to Michael Schumacher, and that candle is underneath the Ferrari's rear wing, because Coulthard is now within half a second of Schumacher's Ferrari. As Villeneuve comes towards us, they're doing 200 miles an hour here. This is where they brake. This is one of the places where the brakes take a tremendous pounding in Canada.
Yes, Barrichello dangerously close to the wall there. I think he had a bit of a bobble on the way into that last chicane and had to mind himself on the way out. Gave Villeneuve a little bit of a clearance and put Hakkinen right underneath the Ferrari's gearbox once again.
Well, let's look back and remind ourselves that we're very lucky, because everybody did get round that first corner. I frankly didn't expect it. It hadn't happened for the last 2 years. We've got a clean, straight fight out on the track now on lap 9. with 60 to go. James Allen has news for us.
Murray, if you look very closely at Barrichello, he's very nervous on the brakes. On the grid, as Martin said, there was a real big drama. I've not seen one like that for a while with Ferrari. They were changing his brake disc right up until 5 minutes before the start of this race, and Rubens was very, very anxious. You can see he's reluctant to attack Villeneuve from the back. What was interesting about the incident on the grid was that Hakkinen was standing next to me, looking right over as they changed the brake disc. Hakkinen was aware of how Barrichello felt about it. Watch out for an attack from him.
Well, if they've changed brake discs, Martin, on Barrichello's car, and he hasn't used them before, surely he's going to be worried about the characteristics.
No, they'll be sorted by now. They're pretty consistent. I mean, they're baked for about 3 months, these brake discs. They're incredibly expensive items. Usually the first 3 or 4 corners are a bit of an unknown quantity. They settle down very quickly. Barrichello will have the measure of them already, I would imagine, and Hakkinen at the moment's got more of a problem with De La Rosa trying to get past him than he has a chance of getting past Barrichello. De La Rosa having just slipped back as I'm talking about him.
Well, I tell you, it's going to need dynamite to move Jacques Villeneuve off the best racing line. BAR scored no World Championship points last year. Yes, they've got World Championship points this year. Indeed, they're 6th in the Constructors' contest, but they've never had a podium position. They've never finished in the top 3. And Jacques Villeneuve is hungry, very hungry indeed, to win. There is even talk that he has already signed for the Renault team next year. Well, his contract expires with BAR this year. It is a rumour, I emphasise that. There's a lot of them flying about here in Montreal. But Villeneuve, if he can finish on the podium, will be much more likely to stay where he is.
Yes, Villeneuve hasn't signed for anybody next year yet. He's playing the field a little bit and understanding what's available to him, whilst, of course, trying desperately hard not to upset the team he's currently driving for and may continue to drive for. So Villeneuve playing a bit of the diplomat at the moment, not his best feature normally, but Jacques is definitely playing the field a little bit.
And Jacques is powered, we're with him now, by a Honda, not a Mugen Honda, a Honda Works engine, and they're looking for success from BAR, and it's significant at the present moment that the Honda engine is in 3rd position. The highest Mugen Honda engine is the Jordan of Heinz-Harald Frentzen. He's in 7th position with Jarno Trulli in 8th position, and they're sandwiching Ricardo Zonta in the 2nd BAR with its Works Honda engine. Top 10, lap 11 out of 69. Schumacher is going faster and faster. He's just made the fastest lap of the race. He's extended his lead over David Coulthard, but not by much, to 9/10 of a second. They're 14 seconds ahead of this battle. Villeneuve, Barrichello, Hakkinen and De La Rosa, who is 6th. Behind De La Rosa, 7th is Heinz-Harald Frentzen, 2.5 seconds behind De La Rosa. 8th is Zonta, 9th is Jarno Trulli, 10th is Jos Verstappen. So both the orange arrows are in the top 6, top 10.
Well, it was declared that there was an incident being investigated on Coulthard's car at 6 minutes past the hour here in Montreal. We're now 18 minutes past the hour, so I think we're within the next few minutes we will hear if there's any news on Coulthard's race so far. We're going to take a short break, be back very shortly.
as you look at the battle between Michael Schumacher and David Coulthard for the lead. David Coulthard has been penalised. He's been penalised 10 seconds. I don't know the reason, but I suspect, as Martin has said, that it was for rolling a bit at the start. But he really doesn't deserve this, because it's going to destroy his race. He's going to lose the 10 seconds while he's stationary, and more time coming in and getting back up to speed again.
Yes, he's got to stop within 3 laps. I think he was either just creeping on the start. We know he had a clutch problem on the formation lap. We saw him being restarted, or it was that problem itself where we had mechanics on the racetrack once the green flag had been dropped. I don't know which one it was, but the net result is Coulthard has to come in within the next 3 laps of being notified. Now the team, I'm sure, will keep him out as long as they can, because they need to maximise the fact that himself and Schumacher are much, much faster than the rest of the field, and that will help him when he rejoins the race, which I would guess, looking at, it's going to cost him at least 25 seconds. It's going to put him back in around 11th place or something, because he's got to negotiate the pit lane at the speed limit. And here he comes now, Coulthard in, hits the limiter there, and he's going to go to his own pit and be stationary for 10 seconds. They are not allowed to touch the car unless he stalls the engine. Then they can only start it after the 10-second period is over. They cannot change tyres. They cannot touch the car in any way. James.
Really resigned atmosphere down here. I think they thought straight after the start there was going to be problems. The mechanics only just got out of the way on the parade lap. It was a real mess. Coulthard's engine rises. He shoots out again. He's got a lot of work to do. He's lost 25 seconds here. He's going to lose another 25 in his first stop. It's going to be very interesting to see if he can make it up again.
10.
And they're streaming through. Verstappen has gone through, and he's in 9th position. You're absolutely right, Martin. David Coulthard is rejoining in, I think, there he is,
10th.
In 10th position behind Jos Verstappen.
Yes, Verstappen was 23.9 seconds behind Coulthard. So that's, and there's looks like there's an ailing. No, we've gone to a different pack of cars now. So Coulthard rejoined in 10th place. Now he's got some work to do to come through. The afternoon is yet young, Murray. Still a long way to go in this race. And
yes.
Of course, that's going to put him right into the pack that's stuck behind the BAR of Villeneuve. Michael Schumacher has got a 17.6 second gifted lead.
History is being made here in Canada, because the BAR is not just in a podium position, it's in 2nd place. If anything happens to Michael Schumacher, Jacques Villeneuve could win this race, but there's a long, long, long way to go. David Coulthard then lost 25 seconds on that pit stop, stopping, coming in, getting out again. And it's not just the 25 seconds, it's the fact that Verstappen, Trulli, Zonta, Frentzen, De La Rosa, Hakkinen and Rubens Barrichello and Jacques Villeneuve are ahead of him. And although, as I said, it's easier to pass here than on many circuits, that doesn't mean to say it's easy.
That's the problem with the 10-second stop and goes. As I said, the mechanics can't touch the car, so you can't use that opportunity to save yourself time later in the race by taking on board more fuel or fresh tyres or whatever. Johnny Herbert out, a very early stop. You've got to assume that's some kind of major problem there for Johnny Herbert in the Jaguar. He would not be stopping at this time for tyres, and he's very slow, even with the speed limit in the pit lane.
And look at this battle now as Mika Hakkinen follows. Villeneuve 2nd, Barrichello 3rd, Hakkinen 4th, De La Rosa a magnificent 5th in the arrows. 6th now in the points is Heinz-Harald Frentzen, the top Jordan. Zonta is up to 7th, Trulli is up to 8th, Verstappen is up to 9th, Johnny Herbert is out of the race. Eddie Irvine has already been lapped after the problem he had at the beginning of the race. So Jaguar, having looked a lot stronger at Monaco, have got no illusions about the fact that they've still got a lot of work to do.
Hakkinen very, very close, and Barrichello's going to have to defend the line. Hakkinen's got to go the long way round. He'll have a job getting round there, but Barrichello knew exactly what he had to do there. Hakkinen got a run on him out of the last chicane. But no position change, and it gave Villeneuve a little bit of breathing space. De La Rosa enjoying himself. I think that's until he has to pit much earlier than the 3 cars in front of him.
Yeah, I just saw a puff of smoke there. You always worry when you see a puff. It could be something entirely innocent. It could be a problem.
It was Barrichello's right front, without doubt, but often happens there just as the load transfers across the anti-roll bar at the front and the inside wheel goes light as you begin to turn the wheel while still on the brake pedal.
Well, now, Barrichello's got 2 problems. The first and most important one is to keep Mika Häkkinen behind him. He's entitled to make 1 blocking move, then the blue flags will be out, and if he gets more than 3 of them, he's going to be in real trouble, as up comes the arrows right on the rear wing of Mika Häkkinen's McLaren in 4th position. Pedro de la Rosa from Spain, who has been rumoured to be joining the BAR team next year, is really on a charge. And Heinz-Harald Frentzen in the yellow Jordan in the background in 6th position is catching this collection of cars, because Jacques Villeneuve is still making them go slower than they could ideally if they got past him.
Yes, I noticed in the far background, Coulthard now has caught up with Verstappen and Trulli, so we'll see if he can make any progress through that little pack as we're watching the first cluster really fighting for 2nd place of Villeneuve, Barrichello, Häkkinen, De La Rosa, then it's 2 seconds back to Frentzen. A little bit of space to Zonta, then it's truly Verstappen and Coulthard, literally line astern. And look, are they showing us this because this is the reason that Coulthard was given the stop-go penalty? The green light is on, and mechanics are still on the track. I think that's contravening the regulations, so it's a technical knockout there for Coulthard in many respects, but he's still in the race. Johnny Herbert, not too disappointed.
Martin, there ain't no justice, because if that was the reason that David Coulthard was penalised, to be sitting innocently in the car there and to suffer from something that was totally outside your control is very, very tough.
Murray, it's total justice. The rules are the rules. Even if I'm involved with Coulthard, the facts are, if they've contravened the regulation, they have to be penalised. You can't, just because he's having a good race, you can't. You know, you can't bend the rules when it suits you, and I think that if they've broken the rules, then obviously the penalty is valid.
I hear you, and you're right, I have to say. Lap 19 then, and look at Heinz-Harald Frentzen, look there at Zonta, look there at Trulli. Behind Trulli in the orange car is Verstappen. Now look for the silver and black one. It is David Coulthard. That is the car we're looking at. David Coulthard, the man who was harrying Michael Schumacher for so long until he had to come in, has caught right up with Jos Verstappen's arrows now. But even before he can get to grips with the front pack, he's got to try and get past Verstappen, Trulli and Zonta. A monumental task.
Yes, Jos will not be an easy man to pass, because David, if he normally comes up behind an arrows during the race, he's got the assistance of loads of blue flags waving and the driver having to pull out of the way. Normally it's because he's being lapped. But the orange arrows are going exceptionally well here this afternoon, regardless of their fuel load, whatever that turns out to be. And it's not going to be an easy breeze past for Coulthard to make his way through this pack. He's got to keep his head at this stage of the race.
When you get into a period of comparative rule stability in Formula One, the teams that have got the money, that have built up an advantage, are caught by those who haven't got so much. And we're seeing it now, because this is a real motor race here at Montreal, as we look at the BAR, the Ferrari, the McLaren, and the arrows of Pedro de la Rosa at the back in 5th position. Villeneuve keeping Barrichello behind him, who's keeping Häkkinen there behind him. 2 times world champion, Louise Goodman. What is it?
I'm standing here with Johnny Herbert, Murray. Johnny, your engine making some rather strange noises as it was pushed back into the garage. Is that the cause of your woe?
No, the engine's fine. It was early on, I was sort of just being able to hang on the back of Fizzy, and then I was sort of having some bad downshifts. They were very, very slow, and then when Ralph passed me, I couldn't get out. I couldn't get into 2nd or 1st at the hairpin, so I was in 3rd, and of course we got a run. Funnily enough, I got the gears the rest of the lap, and then when I got the hairpin again, I couldn't get below 4th, and then when I got to the chicane, I couldn't get below 5th. So it was gearbox problems, which is just damn frustrating, because we had a hell of a lot of problems in Monaco in the race. Had another load of problems here after, basically having sort of a better weekend.
Bad luck, Jenny.
Yes, and I can see in the pit lane that the Arrows men are out and ready for one of their 2 drivers. So happy hours over for those 2, I think. where for sure they had a low fuel load that was clear to see from very early. And there it is already. De La Rosa
coming in.
Out of 5th place, so a little bit of a false position, but nonetheless he was making good use of the strategy. That's going to push him a long way down. I don't really know. I think it's such a compromise to bring themselves in after just 20 laps. They look good for a little while, but maybe it's not going to score you any points.
Well, it means that Frentzen goes up to 5th, that Zonta is in 6th position. So for the first time ever, both BARs are in the top 6-point scoring position. Jarno Trulli is 7th. Verstappen is in 8th position at the moment. David Coulthard, of course, has benefited because he has gained a place as a result of De La Rosa coming in. That's one man he hasn't got to worry about passing. Although David, of course, has got to come in and change tyres and take on more fuel, like all of them, except De La Rosa. Eddie Irvine's been in, Johnny Herbert has retired.
Yes, of course, if you're on a 2-stopper, everybody's got to stop one more time after that. But it means you've got a shorter stop. You've got less fuel to put in the car, which is regulated at about 12 litres per second. That's the only advantage of 2-stopping, a slightly shorter pit stop. But surely it's not the right way to go this afternoon.
Well, Mika Häkkinen has got a bit of the pressure off him. Here he is in picture now. Mika Häkkinen in 5th position, at least has got to just worry about trying to get past Barrichello without also having to try to stop De La Rosa getting past him, because there's now a 3-car battle for second place and not a 4-car battle. In the white BAR, Jacques Villeneuve. In the Scarlet Ferrari, Rubens Barrichello, who was 2nd at Monaco, and then Mika Häkkinen. Mika Häkkinen not looking so good here, as he didn't look so good in Monaco. David Coulthard looking a lot better, and David is down in 9th position now as a result of that penalty.
Yes, you're right. Häkkinen no longer has to look in his mirror and be defensive anymore, but he still can't get much nearer to the back of Barrichello's car. But this just underlines, doesn't it, how important qualifying is, and then how important it is, and that's why you see them all through the weekend, all through practice, all through testing. They even go to special places to practice their starts. It's everything. It means you're hemmed in for the first half of the race at least, if you don't get a good grip position and get away well.
And now the yellow Jordan of Heinz-Harald Frentzen is closing up in 5th position on Mika Häkkinen. So there is Zonta, there is Trulli, behind Trulli is Verstappen, behind Verstappen is David Coulthard. He is in 9th position. Here they come towards us now. Is somebody going to try for it? David Coulthard having a look at Verstappen. And we're with David now. This is the turn 15. Look how close they go to the concrete there. 3 people went into it last year. And now down to turn 1. One of the slowest corners on the circuit. And the Jordan gets a bit out of shape there. David Coulthard, we're looking forward from his McLaren now at Jos Verstappen's Supertech powered arrows.
Yes, one of those cars in front of him, I think Verstappen's car, is putting out some fluid. We saw it on the camera lens, and we saw Coulthard trying desperately to wipe his visor as well. Something spitting out some fluid from the back of the cars. They shouldn't do that. They should be closed, ventilated systems. So Coulthard with a bit of a problem of visibility. But it just shows you, doesn't it? He's now lapping a second a lap slower than he was in the early part of the race. And looking out of the people out here, Murray, getting caps and coats on. They said it was going to rain about 1:30, and it has.
That was what Ross Brawn was keeping under his bonnet, I think, Martin, because yes, rain is forecast. All the teams have got wet weather tyres ready to slap onto their cars, but this could transform the race if it happens.
Yes, I looked into that a bit more after Ross said it, because it completely caught me off balance, because I hadn't heard about any rain at all. But certainly 1 or 2 of the front-running teams were expecting there was a percentage chance of rain at 1:30, and well, they were 5 minutes out. Pretty good nonetheless.
Well, here's Michael Schumacher, or there was Michael Schumacher. Here is Michael Schumacher, 23 seconds ahead of that battle now for 2nd position. But Michael Schumacher has been way out in front in the past, only to have some sort of a problem, as he did at Monaco. And Barrichello having a look at Jacques Villeneuve. You see, Barrichello knows that if only he could get past the BAR, he could pull away from it. He's got more power, and the car handles beautifully. But Jacques Villeneuve is sticking on the racing line. He's not giving Barrichello any room. Meantime, Mika Häkkinen just sits back and watches.
Yes, if it gets slippery out there, I think it's going to be Villeneuve that struggles the most of that trio, because his car clearly has less downforce than the Ferrari. And that's Coulthard having a problem at turn 3. That's not what he needs to be doing if he wants to come through the field. So the track is clearly getting a little bit slippery.
Yeah, and I think it was Jean Alesi that we saw flying past him in the Prost, and he was in 12th position. So that could have cost David 3 more positions. But if the rain continues to come down, let's have a look and see what happened. We're with Coulthard now.
Oh, that's oil. That's oil on the track. I think you'll find the arrows has blown up or something. We said it was leaking fluids, but look, they're so nearly touched. But if a car swaps ends like that on you as you turn into a corner, it's almost certainly because there's oil or water on the racetrack, as now Barrichello starts to really harass the BAR of Villeneuve.
What an absolutely brilliant recovery by David Coulthard. It looked to me as though he got the nose of the McLaren tucked under the wing of the arrows, and Barrichello going through. Is he? Yes, yes. But Villeneuve's got the inside line, and Barrichello keeps his foot down. This is great. And look at Hakkinen in the background. Villeneuve second, Barrichello third, Hakkinen fourth, down to the hairpin.
Now Barrichello's just got to get a good run out of him. He can, if he just keeps his head, keeps it calm through, but Villeneuve too wise. He kept it steady in the middle, slowed down a little bit and got himself sorted out for a good slingshot out. And Barrichello comes up the inside one more time, and this time it's going to stick. And for sure, Verstappen is in the pits with a problem. I think his engine blew, put Coulthard straight off the racetrack. Coulthard having a nightmare afternoon.
Well, this is a nightmare for McLaren too, because now Ferrari is first and Ferrari is second, as Barrichello tears off one of the tear-off strips from his visor, throws it away. Now we can expect to see him pull away from Jacques Villeneuve, who is looking in his mirror, determined to stay on the podium by keeping Mika Hakkinen behind him. But Hakkinen is going to be absolutely determined to get past, because he realises that now, with 2 Ferraris in front of him, the best that he can hope to get is 4 World Championship points if they go the distance, and that is even if he gets past Jacques Villeneuve, and that's going to be very, very difficult. So now Schumacher, 27-7. We haven't seen much of him. Here it is again.
Yes, this is down into the hairpin, and well, we saw Rubens have a slightly better run out of the previous corner, and he positioned his car well. Jack had no defence on that one. He really had no way of closing the door once Barrichello got his car up alongside.
And just look at the way Barrichello is now pulling away from the battle between Villeneuve and Hakkinen for 3rd position. And look at the 2 Jordans now, because Frentzen is 5th. There he is. Behind him is Jarno Trulli. So both the Jordans are in the points, and we've still got 43 laps to go.
It's obviously just a little bit moist out there. They've dropped about 2 to 3 seconds per lap. Michael Schumacher now has picked up speed again at the front, so that little flurry of rain that came across is now... I can just see still spitting with rain out there. It's cost them about a couple of 3 seconds a lap, except for Michael Schumacher.
Well, that dreaded turn 15 has only been hit once this year, and that was by Pedro Diniz in the Sauber this morning, and he deranged the nose and the suspension of the car. So far, everybody's been able to keep away from the Quebec wall, as it's called, because of the Quebec poster that's attached to it. But there's very heavy rumble strips on the inside. You've got to keep clear of those. Villeneuve second, Hakkinen third. The gap between them, you can see for yourself. And I'm sorry, it's Villeneuve third and Hakkinen fourth. And the 2 Jordans, 5th and 6th. Now, 7th position is Ricardo Zonta. He's 3.5 seconds behind Jarno Trulli's Jordan. And that's the second of the yellow cars you're looking at in the background. So it's a great race for BAR if they keep going, because both their drivers are in the top 7 as Trulli nips past Heinz Harald Frentzen, his teammate, and their drivers are in the top 7 as Trulli nips past Heinz Harald Frentzen, his teammate, and takes 5th position away from him. And Trulli is the man to watch, the multiple kart champion of Europe, who then became German Formula 3 champion. Here it is again. Let's have a look.
Yes, and just the same as we saw really with Barrichello passing Villeneuve. Trulli takes a big step up the inside, gets track position, and there's no defending that once they've got their car alongside. Otherwise, you'll just tear the wheels off of both cars. So Hakkinen there still struggling to pass Villeneuve. And now we've got Schumacher and Barrichello back in the 120.9s. The only other man anywhere near that was Coulthard, who did 20.9 last time around. But the rest of them late 1:21.
That 28 positions and gaps. Schumacher 26 seconds, Barrichello 3 seconds, Villeneuve 0.2 of a second, Hakkinen, there they are. Trulli 2.5 seconds behind Hakkinen, and now a second ahead of Heinz-Harald Frentzen, who is in 6th position. Ricardo Zonta is 7th. Fisichella in the Benetton is moving up through the field. He's in 8th position. Ralf Schumacher in the Williams that we've heard nothing about, who started down in 12th position, has now carved his way up to 9th place. Alesi is 10th. David Coulthard, having lost those 2 places when he went off, is down in 11th place. Terrible luck for him.
Well, new fastest lap there, as you can see, from Michael Schumacher, 1:20.2. That's faster than last year's race. So now any moisture on the racetrack clearly has gone. And that is Hakkinen trying desperately hard still to put the frighteners on Villeneuve. Villeneuve will have nothing of it. And he, as I predicted, he was certainly struggling more on that damp track. Now the track has come good again. Villeneuve should be back to being able to hold off Hakkinen.
Well, this has not been a good circuit for Jacques Villeneuve in his first year here with the Williams. He ended up in the Quebec wall. He finished second to Damon Hill the next year. Then the next year he went into the wall again. So for him to be up here in 3rd position is a very considerable achievement. But Rubens Barrichello is increasing his speed now. He's just done the fastest lap of the race to reduce his gap between himself and the leader, Michael Schumacher, to just over 26 seconds. And in the process, he is now 4.5 seconds ahead of Jacques Villeneuve. There is Villeneuve with Hakkinen behind him. And Ferrari are on a potential 16 World Championship points to the 3 World Championship points that Mika Hakkinen will score for McLaren if he finishes in 4th place. And of course it's potentially extending Michael Schumacher's already considerable World Championship lead, but there's still a long way to go. Now look back and you'll see David Coulthard.
Yes, Coulthard making his way down the field for one reason and another, with his stop-go penalty, spinning off on Verstappen's oil. But watching there earlier on, 2 or 3 corners before, Hakkinen quite clearly has a much better car under braking than Villeneuve. If he can get anywhere near him, he will slip past, and he just can't get close enough bite out of the corners to stay close enough to have a stab. So while Coulthard is on the back of that pack, we're going to take a quick break. Be back shortly.
lap 32 at Montreal, and the top 6, Michael Schumacher, Ferrari, leads Rubens Barrichello, Ferrari, by 26 seconds. Jacques Villeneuve is 34 seconds behind Schumacher, but just ahead of Hakkinen. There is Villeneuve, there is Hakkinen. Jarno Trulli 5th has caught them, and Heinz-Harald Frentzen 6th in the second. Jordan is dropping back. So Schumacher, Barrichello, Villeneuve, Hakkinen, Trulli, Frentzen.
Yes, the only significant thing that happened while we were in the break was, as you saw, Barrichello setting a new fastest lap, 1:19.6. That's a good lap time, but he's got 26 seconds to make up to Michael Schumacher. But it certainly put Schumacher on notice, and he's had a bit of a hurry-up, and he does not need his teammate homing in on him at half a second a lap. Otherwise, he's got a problem later on in the race. And this is Villeneuve. You're on board, you're in 3rd position on the Grand Prix, and he is somehow still keeping that McLaren behind him. And this is why they've got to change some aspects of the design of these cars, because they just are too difficult to overtake with.
And they're too difficult to overtake because the air behind Villeneuve's BAR Honda is so disturbed that Mika Hakkinen will be losing downforce from the front wing of his McLaren, as a result of which he gets less grip on the front tyres, and it's the front brakes, incidentally, which take an enormous pounding here. Here is Michael Schumacher closing up on Gaston Mazzucane's Minardi. He is in 20th position, and he is about to be lapped. Now, this is the first man to be lapped, other, of course, than Johnny Herbert and Eddie Irvine, both of whom are out of the race very early in their Jaguars. Now, Mazzucane, I hope for Michael Schumacher's sake, is keeping a very careful eye on his mirrors. He ought to be, because there's nothing in front of him.
Ferrari mechanics in the pit lane, Murray. So I don't know who that may be for. It could be for Barrichello if he started the race on a little bit less fuel to give him a half a chance of sprinting past the McLarens off the line. Mazzucane moves out of the way, lets Michael through on the racing line, and we await to see which Ferrari is going to make a stop. I would say it's quite early to be making, if they're on a one-stopper, it's quite early to be making that stop, but it clearly doesn't mean to say they've got to come in twice. So Michael has got enough of a lead to be able to do it, 25.2 seconds. It will put him behind Barrichello, but I'm assuming he's not on more stops than Barrichello.
There is Barrichello. This is a surprise to me, actually, but it's exactly in line with James Allen's forecast. He said, expect people round about lap 35. Well, it's lap 34 now. I was expecting some of them to stay out until as late as lap 50, as in comes Heinz-Harald Frentzen, and he slipped down through the field.
They're not ready for him, Murray. I'm looking out of the pit lane, and they're only, look, now they're just coming out, look. So I don't know what's going on there. Maybe, Louise, what can you tell us?
Well, the team obviously caught unawares there. Frentzen has been having a problem with his brakes. It was actually a team decision to allow Trulli to come through because Heinz-Harald was slow with his brakes.
Schumacher in, Louise, I'm sorry. Schumacher in. Michael Schumacher, from the lead of the Canadian Grand Prix, comes into the pit lane at a maximum speed of 80 kilometres an hour. Now, he should be able to almost get out before Rubens Barrichello arrives. The gap was 25 seconds. It's a comparatively relaxed stop. They're adjusting the front wing angle here. Was something... Well, that's a long stop, 9 seconds, but nobody... There's Barrichello. Barrichello goes through into the lead. Michael Schumacher is second.
Seemed to be a certain amount of uncertainty, really, about Michael's right rear, and they are pulling Frentzen out of the race. Louise, what can you tell us?
Well, yeah, as I was saying, Frentzen was having a problem with his brakes. It's turned into a terminal problem. The team were expecting him to come in about 3 or 4 laps' time. As we saw, he came and caught them totally unawares. He made the decision himself that the brake problem had got too bad. Nothing for him to do but pull into the garage and retire.
And Mika Hakkinen is ahead, unseen by us, of Jacques Villeneuve. So, Rubens Barrichello leads, Michael Schumacher is second, and Mika Hakkinen is there. There's a replay as you see them coming down into turn 1. Michael Schumacher leading the race. Mika Hakkinen attacks, goes through on the inside of Jacques Villeneuve, who didn't seem to resist him at all.
No, I think Villeneuve's ailing a little bit somewhere. We said, and we could see, there's a... That some blue smoke coming out of the back of the Prost Peugeot there. Whether he's getting a bit too hard on it, no, that's a problem there. That's history, that one. But it seemed that Hakkinen was getting better and better under braking than the BAR. And yes, that didn't get very far, did it?
Fire there. There's probably a bit of oil that's burning, and the marshals seem to be taking their time about getting there with the fire extinguishers. He's on the exit to the pit lane, so there should be all the facilities in the world. Meantime, the Prix mechanics are getting agitated there, and it really is time that somebody was on the scene with a fire extinguisher there.
Well, bearing in mind that it's got a top exit exhaust, I think it's only a bit of oil, a little bit of an oil fire coming out through the exhaust. It will migrate eventually if they don't do something about it. But I don't see it going up in a big ball of flame any minute now.
Now, the man to watch is Mika Hakkinen, who is literally a man released. He's got ahead of Jacques Villeneuve. There is still half the race to run. We're on lap 36 now in this lap 39 lap race. And there is the Jordan running wide onto the grass as he goes into the casino hairpin, and through on the inside go Fisichella and Ralf Schumacher, who have thereby increased their position. Heinz-Harald Frentzen into the garage, out of the race. Here is the race leader, Rubens Barrichello, on his 36th lap. Turn 14, the dreaded turn 50. Look how close he gets to the wall. But David Coulthard was a lot closer to that yesterday. Michael Schumacher in second position, and I'm looking at lap times here.
Bear in mind, of course, that Michael has got a lot of fuel on board now. Barrichello getting towards an empty tank. Fuel plays a big part around here, around 0.4 of a second per 10 kilos. So Michael will have a lot of fuel on board. As we know, he's just made a pit stop, and you would expect Barrichello to stretch that lead as we see a Lacey in for what looks like a scheduled stop.
And Mika Hakkinen has just made the fastest lap of the race. He's now just under 7 seconds behind Michael Schumacher and catching the Ferrari. This race has still got a long way to go. Nick Heidfeld walking in, another retirement. His first year in Formula One is not a happy one.
A stall there for a Lacey. We see that so often with Jean, and that's going to cost him a good half a minute while they get that up and running. So a desperately bad stop. James, what can you tell us?
Well, you were observing that Ross Brawn was taking a very good look at the right rear corner of Michael Schumacher's car in that pit stop. I can tell you what he was looking at was the rear brake disc. Michael obviously slightly concerned about the brake wear. Huge braking here at Canada, but he's apparently perfectly happy now. He is, as you say, carrying a big fuel load. But what he's done here today is divide the race in half, confident that he would be able to get a decent run at the start, obviously looking for a bit less fuel off the line, and also confident that the other teams, McLaren and Jordan in particular, would run longer in their first stint, which does seem to be what's happening here.
Yes, James, I would think it's Michael wouldn't have, I'm sure you're right on why they were looking at it. Michael wouldn't have that data. He would not know about brake wear until the brakes start fading away. But of course they do have telemetry back in the pits, and they do know exactly what the brake or clutch wear is at any one time.
Well, meantime, Mika Hakkinen has just lapped 2.5 seconds faster than the man you're looking at, Michael Schumacher, who is second in the race. But Michael Schumacher has already stopped. Rubens Barrichello ahead of him has not. There is Mika Hakkinen in third position. 4.5 seconds now behind Michael Schumacher, but Mika Hakkinen has not stopped. So you would expect Hakkinen on a lighter fuel load to be closing up on the much heavier Ferrari, which has just taken on more fuel to last it for the rest of the race. So it's not surprising, but it is interesting.
Jenson Button in 14th place, back down the field. He's gained from a few of the retirements. Coulthard still nailed back down there in 9th. Irvine running, but 2 laps behind. Zonta's doing a good job. Murray up there in 6th place in the sister car to this, which is Villeneuve in the BAR, coming down once again to the last chicane. And he certainly had plenty of fuel on board, didn't he? Because he's gone a long way into this race. 38, he's just coming up to finish his 38th lap. The leader, Michael Schumacher, and Barrichello rather, already into their 39.
Well, when is Mika Hakkinen coming in? Michael Schumacher, of course, is going to be mighty difficult, to put it mildly, indeed, to pass, even if Mika Hakkinen thinks he can do so. But we've seen Mika get past Jacques Villeneuve, the man you're looking at now. And Villeneuve has got Jarno Trulli in the yellow Jordan behind him in 5th place. The top 6 at the present moment, lap 39, 30 to go. Barrichello leads Schumacher by nearly 7 seconds. Hakkinen is 3 seconds behind Schumacher. Villeneuve is 7 seconds behind Hakkinen, and just ahead of Jarno Trulli. There is the proof, you see it on your picture. Ricardo Zonta in the second BAR is another 7 seconds down the road, but both the BARs are in a point-scoring position at the moment. Jacques Villeneuve, 4th position, Ricardo Zonta, 6th position. BAR have had a very torrid time getting into Formula One for all sorts of reasons, but hopefully from their point of view, because they've made a monumental effort, things are starting to come good at Canada, where their low downforce configuration and good car handling is paying off. 7th is Fisichella, 8th is Ralf Schumacher, who is catching the Benetton ahead of him. Into the pits comes Jarno Trulli from 5th position, taking the pressure off Jacques Villeneuve.
Yes, I'm sure the Jordan mechanics will be ready. Clearly, Frenson's pit stop was unscheduled, although it looked like the mechanics were out late. That was not the case. Frenson diving into the pit lane, and you saw him retire. This is truly, and what looks like, a pretty regular stop for him. Remember, a lot of fuel got to go in to get him to the end of the race. Everything looks just fine on that, and out of the pits he goes.
You may have noticed the enormous brake ducts that the cars have here. This is Gaston Mazzacane, and here coming towards him to lap him is Jacques Villeneuve in the BAR.
So Hakkinen then has dropped Villeneuve now by a full 8 seconds, so Hakkinen really... And look, that's Hakkinen homing in on Michael Schumacher, but remember, Schumacher has already stopped, and as I said, he's got about 60 to 70 kilos of fuel on board that Ferrari now, and he will not... There's a white flag, so that means a slow car passing under that yellow bridge. You'll see something appear the other side. That must be a Lacey, yes, who'd already had a very long stop. That's both Prosts out of the race, and it's not at all surprising to see Hakkinen homing in on Schumacher because only of the fuel loads.
Well, this is a race of attrition. It's taken a lot longer for cars to drop out than I expected, but Herbert's out, Frenson's out, Heidfeld's out, Eddie Irvine is out, and actually by this time last year we'd had the safety car out on the track twice, if not 3 times, and last year history was created because the Canadian Grand Prix of 1999 was the first one to finish behind the safety car. It actually led him across the line, and about 5 seconds covered the first 6 home.
De La Rosa in the pits for his second stop, although I'm surprised he's in again quite so early. And Salo too, and Genet, so plenty of action going on in the pits. This is the current scrap for second place between Schumacher and Hakkinen. And I remind you, Michael has already stopped once, and that big cloud of dust you see every time they hit the brakes into corners is the problem around here. They're limited to 28mm wide, just over an inch wide of brake disc, and they simply wear it out. It's so efficient in terms of its stopping capacity, but the carbon wears away, and look, there's all that dust again, and the pads wear away too, both of them. You lose all the meat off them, the pedal starts going very, very long towards the end of the race, or as we saw with Frenson here last year, they pop completely and send you flying off the road.
Now, these are the 2 best drivers of this year on the track together. Twice world champion Michael Schumacher, twice world champion Mika Hakkinen. Schumacher looking for his 3rd victory in the championship, and Hakkinen doing exactly the same thing. But there is a long way between them in terms of points, because there's 15 points between the 2 of them. It's going to be mighty interesting at the end of this race to see what's happening, because there will be some furious thinking going on in the McLaren pit. They're running to very different strategies. You've already seen, and here is Villeneuve coming in, and down there is Jenson Button. Jenson Button coming in from, well, in 12th position. All calm and deliberate, and the Williams, but it's quite a long stop, 10.6 seconds, and Jenson Button explodes out. His teammate, incidentally, Ralf Schumacher, is in 7th position. And do I see spots of rain on the window of the commentary box?
Yeah,
yes, indeed I do.
And I also see the McLaren mechanics out in the pit lane, so, and that's why...
Here's Hakkinen. Here is Mika Hakkinen coming in from 3rd position. Now, the gap was 10 seconds. We can expect him to lose 25 seconds here with coming in, stopping, getting out again. And he's going to come down except that Villeneuve has gone through. He's regained his third position, but he has yet to stop. Mika Häkkinen, is Zonta going to get through? Yes, Zonta. Now, both the VARs and more, Fisichella, Coulthard, and Michael Schumacher is carving his way through the field. He now laps Jenson Button in 15th position.
Yes, I don't think Jenson's got a particular problem. I think he was just getting out of the way there, Michael Schumacher. So Häkkinen falls behind Coulthard. Coulthard is showing as one stop, but we know that to be his stop-and-go penalty from earlier on in the race, which we believe to be because the mechanics were still starting the engine of his car when the green light came on. Some kind of drama, but they were still better, you know, to take a stop-go penalty than have David be moved right to the back of the field and have to start the race from the back of the field with the overtaking problems. And there's Barrichello coming in. The mechanics are ready in front of the commentary box here. And James, I'm sure you're there.
I am indeed. Rubens Barrichello should rejoin back in second place. McLaren just over there are going to bring David Coulthard in, and he seems to have faded a little bit since that misfortune in the early part of the race. Now, most of these guys started with used front tyres and new rears, and everybody has changed onto that, except Rubens Barrichello, who's going with new front tyres. So not quite as much grip, more understeer we expect from Barrichello, but reasonably comfortable. Can Häkkinen attack him in the second half of the race? That's the interesting part now.
Yes, but it's raining quite hard down there, I would imagine, James, from what I can see, and I'm sure Barrichello sat there with rain trickling down his visor as Coulthard comes in too for his first scheduled stop of the afternoon. And it really is, it's nowhere near wet enough to change tyres onto wets, of course, but it really is looking pretty tricky out there once again for the second time this afternoon.
Yes, because if it rains a lot more and the circuit becomes damp and wet, people who've been in already for a new set of normal dry weather tyres are going to have to come in yet again. Some of them may not have to do that, depending on where they were on the track, and it could dramatically affect the positionings in the race. Lap 44 out of 69. And as you see, the Ferrari closing up on the two tail-enders. We're going for a break. We'll be back for you to see the rest of the Canadian Grand Prix.
Michael Schumacher, and the wets weren't out of their blanket for him. They just were not ready. It's cost Barrichello for James.
Unbelievable. It was exactly like the Nürburgring last last year, it looked like a unilateral decision by Barrichello because the team certainly didn't have the second supply set ready. They've introduced a new system at Ferrari after that debacle at the Nürburgring last year where Irvine didn't have a tyre. The engineer of the driver holds up a card with the driver's name on it. It's a very clear system. That must have been Rubens' own decision to come in immediately, and he paid a very heavy penalty for it.
And then we're just watching BARs queuing up for stops as well, and Coulthard in the pits for wets. But sometimes, James, it's better to wait and queue than it is do a very slow lap or fall off the road because you're on the wrong tyres. So sometimes it is better to just come in and queue.
Lap 46 then, and Mika Häkkinen is now second in the Canadian Grand Prix. I've lost track of things. I'm sure he has not been in for wet tyres. No, he has not. Michael Schumacher has the advantage then. He is still in the lead, but he's in the lead on the right tyres, wet weather tyres. Mika Häkkinen visually, you can see, is going a lot slower. Rubens Barrichello lost time with those tyres not being ready, and look at the way Häkkinen is crawling.
Yes, he's really having to be careful with the throttle pedal a bit. Look, even just as tiny curves now become major obstacles when you're on the wrong tyres, and the slower you go, the more tyre temperature and pressure you lose, the less grip you have. You're in a lose-lose situation. Now it's raining quite hard, and Häkkinen has lost out badly. He will not be able to make really full use of the fact that Barrichello had a very slow pit stop. Be interesting to see how that one shakes out when Häkkinen rejoins the track.
Now here's another sensational development. It looks as though Giancarlo Fisichella is, yes, he has, he's gone second. And Fisichella in the Benetton, who finished second last year and second the year before, is in second place behind Michael Schumacher on lap 47 out of 69, but he has not stopped.
I think that was Wirtz you saw recovering in the other Benetton, but Fisichella, I think, made an ace move, or the Benetton team did. I think he just came in for his pit stop at exactly the right moment and went straight onto wet, and it played right into Fisichella's hands, and that's launched him up into second place from absolutely nowhere.
An absolutely superb development and brilliant strategical thinking by the Benetton team. Fisichella's highest place this year is third position in the Monaco Grand Prix just 2 weeks ago. But now Michael Schumacher, the acknowledged rainmaster of Formula One, leads on the right tyres as Fisichella runs very wide indeed there onto the gravel. Now that is a replay. And here is Eddie Irvine, who I've said had retired. Well, he's in effect had, but he's rejoined the race now. And that's David Coulthard coming through and passing him. So there is
Michael running
Schumacher going off. Michael Schumacher going off.
He may just have got away with that on the front wing as it turned one. It's not a major drama there for Michael. That'll give him a wake-up call. Just shows you how slippery the racetrack is. Like an emulsion on there now. A lot of tyre, rubber, a bit of oil, and now a bit of water on the top, and it is unbelievably slippery. And even somebody like Schumacher can't find out exactly how to judge the braking points, and now he knows he's got to be even more careful than the previous lap.
Yeah, time to establish what is happening. We're on lap 48 out of 69. Michael Schumacher is leading by 30 seconds. Rubens Barrichello is now back into second position as a result of Fisichella going off. Fisichella down to third place, just 2 seconds behind the second Ferrari. Mika Häkkinen is only in fourth position, but has had his second stop for wet weather tyres. Jarno Trulli is fifth and has stopped twice. Alexander Wirtz in the Benetton is in sixth position, but he has only stopped once.
Yes, you see Barrichello is now 20 seconds ahead in second place of fourth place man Häkkinen, so it was definitely worth him waiting in the queue, and it cost Häkkinen dearly to be tiptoeing round on the wrong tyres.
Yes, it's not looking like Häkkinen's season at the moment. Admittedly, there's a long way to go. This is race 8, there are 17 races. But if Michael Schumacher can keep it on the island and stay where he is, he's extending his World Championship lead over Mika Häkkinen and, of course, David Coulthard, who is out of the points at the present moment. David Coulthard 12 points behind Michael Schumacher. Schumacher on a potential 10 points for a win. David Coulthard on a potential no points, unless he can improve at least 3 places from 9th to 6th. And this is the wet, tired shod Mika Häkkinen trying to close up on Fisichella, who is 18.18 seconds ahead of him. Villeneuve and Ralf Schumacher. Villeneuve in the BAR, Ralf Schumacher in the Williams, and they are respectively in 10th and 8th, or were, but there's been a change there as over the line goes the McLaren of Mika Hakkinen, who is carving into Fisichella's lead. He's taken 2 seconds out of Fisichella's lead on that one lap. But now we are 20 laps from the end of the Canadian Grand Prix. We've had 2/3 of it. We're on lap 49 out of 69. And Mika Hakkinen is only looking good for 3 World Championship points at the moment. There's Fisichella. Now he's 4 seconds behind Rubens Barrichello. That's Gaston Mazzacane, who has been lapped. And the prophecies about rain have turned out to be exactly right. They're running off the track left, right and centre. Fisichella.
That's a different falling off the road there for Fisichella, so that's twice he's been off now, but he's still managing to maintain second place. Barrichello, best part on the previous lap, best part of 3 seconds faster than Michael, but of course we saw Michael scampering through the gravel trap. That's why he would have lost that time. And they're now 2 to 3. The 2 Ferraris are 2 to 3 seconds faster than just about anybody else on the road.
Yeah, well, there is Giancarlo Fisichella, who's one of the highest paid Grand Prix drivers of them all.
And notice in the last corner they didn't go anywhere near the wall now, because that's a glossy piece of green painted concrete to look like grass, and it's an absolute no-go area in these conditions, so you won't see them playing hero with the wall now.
And if it's difficult in dry weather conditions, as I was explaining earlier on, with the walls around them and the Armco, just imagine what it's like now with traction at an absolute minimum as they try to balance 800 horsepower and still keep the... And there's one of the arrows with a right, he's gone into the right rear, and it's Pedro de la Rosa. Pedro de la Rosa from 12th position.
Park it, Pedro. No, you're not going anywhere. You should have taken that opportunity with the open piece of tarmac there. There is no point whatsoever in recovering that car to the pits.
Out of the race, here's Schumacher. Michael Schumacher leading on lap 50, coming through to completed. Take it easy there, Michael. That's where you went off last year. And as Martin points out, they keep right off for green-painted concrete now. And this is what happened to Pedro de la Rosa. He runs wide onto the grass, across the track. And coming up behind him, it's Pedro Diniz that put him offline, I guess. Pedro Diniz.
Oh, yes, they touched, look, Marion. They put him straight into the wall. That was a nasty little moment there on a high-speed part of the racetrack. And then this is clearly a replay of what we've seen. And that's Irvine. He's kept the engine going. I don't know which corner it is exactly. It looks like turn 2 again, possibly. So, no, he's got a problem too, because it's spun immediately round again. So quite clearly, Irvine has got a rear suspension problem. Michael Schumacher leads by 27 seconds. You're going to see a play of Irvine now, replay, having a very silly spin. And I don't know why, he just cannot keep that going in the right direction. Now he's out, now he looks like he's out of the race. Michael Schumacher leads Barrichello, Fisichella, Mika Hakkinen, Trulli is 5th, Wirtz is 6th. Look out, it's a break.
look at this. Off goes Alexander Wurz from 6th position. Behind him, Jos Verstappen. And Ralf Schumacher is coming up there fast in the Williams. This is a replay. This is Wurz going off. And Ralf Schumacher, still with that damaged leg after Monaco, has got past the arrows. Ralf Schumacher then is driving one of the races that we expected to drive. Absolutely brilliant. And this rain is causing people to go off left, right and centre. We've got Irvine, Salo, Alesi, Heidfeld, Frentzen and Herbert out of the Canadian Grand Prix. And Jos Verstappen is attacking now. Here he is.
Yeah, Verstappen now trying to come back at Ralf Schumacher and gets up the inside beautifully. Brave move there from Verstappen. Hangs it all together and grabs that place back, having had a trip across the grass. Fell off in sympathy with Wurz, who he was racing with. Often, if the guy in front of you goes off, you get sucked into the corner with him, braking too late. He scampered across the gravel trap. Ralf hijacked that place and Verstappen said, I'm having it straight back, thanks very much. And we've seen great straight line speed from the arrows all weekend. Look, just got track position and then didn't panic, didn't jump on the brake pedal too hard. Mature piece of driving there from Verstappen.
Yeah, they're incredibly quick, these arrows, in a straight line. Race after race they've been fastest in individual race sectors. And Jos Verstappen, Jos the boss, as they call him in Holland, is a very determined race driver. He's driven for Tyrrell, he's driven for Stewart, he's driven for Arrows, he's back again with Arrows, and not many drivers get a second bite of the cherry after they've had to leave Formula One. Well, he's proving that he richly deserves his place, and David Coulthard now is coming up. He is in 9th position behind Ralf Schumacher.
I think that was Coulthard possibly being passed by Villeneuve actually, but it's a long shot. There's Villeneuve and he's coming into the hairpin now. He's still behind Coulthard, so I don't know what the previous action was, but that's Villeneuve down in 10th place. He came in for a pit stop when it's just started to rain and went for slicks and was coming out of the pits, thumping the steering wheel, knowing he'd made a bad mistake. He should have been on wet and had to pit the very next lap. Coulthard, of course, has had 3 stops today, once for fuel, once for tyres, once for a stop-and-go penalty for an infringement on the start line, and that's why he's down in 9th position. Ralf Schumacher going well in 8th, Verstappen a great race in 7th, Wurz is 6th still, Jarno Trulli, haven't seen much of him this afternoon, he's currently running 5th, and Häkkinen is 15 seconds behind Fisichella, who is 3rd. And the Ferraris are still 2 to 3 seconds a lap faster than anybody else on the racetrack in these conditions.
And we've still got 14 laps to go. We're on lap 55 at the present moment. It's a 69-lap race. And if they could just keep going, it's going to be another superb 1-2 for Ferrari, just as it was in the first race of the Australian Grand Prix, and that would give them 16 Constructors' Championship points. It would give Michael Schumacher, that we're looking at, not only yet another victory, but it would give him, most importantly, 10 World Championship points. And Michael Schumacher's already won 39 times in his incredible career. He's 25 seconds, as near as makes no difference, ahead of Rubens Barrichello. They're both on the right tyres, the Bridgestone wet construction and compound. Fisichella is 16 seconds in the Benetton behind Barrichello's Ferrari. And there is Jos Verstappen storming his way up through the field. He's really going for it. He's behind Alexander Wurz now in the blue Benetton and ahead of Ralf Schumacher. So you're looking at the battle for 6th, 7th and 8th positions.
Yes, well, McLaren are celebrating their 500th Grand Prix start today. I think it's one they may choose to forget. Right now, Murray, it's looking very much a scarlet day, isn't it?
It certainly is, and since you're talking about the 500th McLaren driving Grand Prix, as the Williams of Jenson Button goes off the circuit there for a short while, I'm able to say congratulations to Ron Dennis, the boss of McLaren, on his very richly deserved recognition by his country. He's been given the CBE, and it couldn't have happened at a better time. McLaren's 500th Grand Prix. Lap 56, 13 to go. Schumacher leads, Barrichello second, and it's tough out there.
Poor old Jensen's having a nightmare afternoon. He's having a scrap with Genet, but that's for 13th and 14th at the moment. And that's Villeneuve getting well out of shape. And that's a little trick he's used a lot lately. He jumps on the brake pedals and just brings the front runner. 2 or 3 times I've seen him use that to great effect, has Jacques Villeneuve.
Yeah, but he's down in 10th position. And remember, I was talking earlier on about both the BARs being in the top 6. Well, neither of them are now, because Villeneuve is 10th, Zonta is 11th. David Coulthard still doesn't look like scoring World Championship points. I said earlier on there's no justice, and Martin quite rightly said, well, you know, rules are rules, and they are. But David's had to pay a terrific penalty, because it's not just the 10 seconds, it's everything else that's involved, including a lack of World Championship points in this race, when he'd driven so well to start second on the grid and then harry Michael Schumacher for lap after lap after lap, and the only driver who could live with Michael Schumacher here at Montreal. Look at the St. Lawrence Seaway on the left there, looking very sullen indeed. We haven't had a wet, dry race like this for some time. It's been a terrific spectacle. Here is Button coming towards us, 14th position in the Williams. Now we look at the Ferrari, we're on lap 57. And Michael Schumacher has already won this race 3 times in his career. 1994 for Benetton, 97 and 98 for Ferrari. It's the mark of a really brilliant driver when, like the late, great Jim Clark, you win race after race at the same event. The British Grand Prix, 5 times a victory for Jim Clark. The Monaco Grand Prix, 5 times for Graham Hill, 6 times for Ayrton Senna. Well, it could be 4 times in Canada for Michael Schumacher.
Yes, I noticed that Dönitz is under investigation by the stewards. That will be for barging Pedro Della Rosa into the wall when he was alongside him. Quite a lot of mentions on the computer printout here of rear light not working. Now, that's up to the drivers to switch those on during a race where it turns to rain. Whenever rain tyres are on, and you see the red light glowing on some cars, and you can see it on the even on the Jaguar there. But I do not believe they can penalise or pull the cars out of the race if they have not got their red lights working. And there is Verstappen, and he has now got alongside Wirtz. So Verstappen really moving through the field, moves up to a 1-point scoring position up in 6th. So Verstappen on the move. We're going to take a quick break.
conditions at Montreal, lap 59 in this 69-lap race, which was led from the start by Michael Schumacher in his Ferrari, with David Coulthard the only man who looked likely to be able to challenge the race leader. Then David Coulthard got that penalty, we assume because the mechanics were on the track still when the red lights went out, and David Coulthard had a 10-second penalty. He's dropped down the field, a lot of people have dropped out, but Schumacher still leads Barrichello and Fisichella.
And look at Verstappen now homing in for his next victim of the afternoon, Jarno Trulli in 5th place. And they've all clearly got enough fuel to get to the end of the race. The arrow's working very, very well in the wet. I think Coulthard seems to have lost a bit of interest now with all of the dramas of his afternoon, and he's really not making... If he's going to win the World Championship, he's going to have a stab at it. He's got to find a better wet weather setup that suits him, because he struggled in the rain in Nürburgring with setup, and he's struggling here, really. He's off the pace, and even if he had been up with Michael Schumacher, I think Coulthard would have been struggling to stay with the Ferraris in the rain, as both McLarens did at Nürburgring in the rain. So McLaren have really got to have themselves a better option for when we've got changeable conditions. Michael Schumacher's lead down to 17.8 seconds now, and you've got to assume that he knows Barrichello may be allowed to catch him, which he most certainly is doing by over 2.5 seconds on the last lap. But he knows that Barrichello will not be allowed to pass him. And it would be crazy of Ferrari now to allow Barrichello to put any kind of pressure on Michael, regardless of contractual or World Championship situation.
Look at this though, Jarno Trulli 5th has been caught by Jos Verstappen. Jos is driving a fantastic race. He's clawed his way up from 10th position, and he's now going for 5th position. Arrows have got championship points this year already, but Jarno Trulli turns in, and Jos Verstappen is thrusting at the rear wheels of the Jordan all the time, and just behind them is Alexander Wurz. So while you watch that, let's just talk constructors. Ferrari very strong, 1st and 2nd. Benetton just 1 point in the points, 1 position in the points. Fisichella is 3rd. McLaren only 1 car in the points, and that's Mika Häkkinen down in 4th position. Jordan just 1 car in the points, Jarno Trulli 5th place. And Jos Verstappen for Arrows is the only one, because De La Rosa is out of the race, and Jos Verstappen is either going to go through. Yes, he is! Jos Verstappen, brilliant, goes through into 5th position.
Yes, Trulli is seriously cautious under braking. Verstappen must have seen that with great joy when he cruised up behind him, and that was like taking candy from a baby from Verstappen. The Verstappen of old would have charged in earlier on and taken at least 2 wheels off of each car. This one positioned the car nicely, look, and was still able once again to get the front of that Arrows in. And we know it's got tremendous straight line speed as well. So it's not as if he's carrying a bucket load of wing either, Murray, that's giving him this advantage in the rain. For some reason, the Arrows is just beautifully balanced in these conditions.
And Jos Verstappen is a very tidy and a gigantically determined driver. As we watch Michael Schumacher on his 61st lap. He's done 61.5 laps to be exact. He's coming down the return straight now, down towards those turns 14 and 15. The right and left-handers, the left-hander which caused so much trouble last year. Michael will be mighty cautious, knowing that he's still got a 16-second lead over somebody who's not going to be allowed to challenge him, because like it or not, and some people don't, Formula One is a team event, and Ferrari will want their cars to finish 1st and 2nd, and not to be fighting each other for position and potentially taking each other off in the closing stages of a race, which could be the turning point of both World Championships. There's Barrichello across the line. Now he's 16 seconds behind Michael Schumacher, and he's 21 seconds ahead of Fisichella.
And Rubens not making mistakes by going out wide in the corners. That's where the grip is, off the racing line. The tarmac somehow is a little bit fresher out there and a bit greener, as they say in some respects, but it somehow gives you more grip in the rain because there's no tyre rubber out there. And you take a go-kart line, you go in, you can run very, very wide. Coulthard getting very close once again now to Ralf Schumacher. That's Trulli backing them all up.
Yeah, this is the battle of the race. Trulli is 6th, Wurz is 7th, 8th is Schumacher, 9th is David Coulthard, 10th is Jacques Villeneuve that we're riding with now, with Ralph Schumacher, David Coulthard's car ahead of us. So David Coulthard in 8th position, Jacques Villeneuve, who was 3rd for so long, he was 2nd in the race. He slipped down through the order to 10th position, and off goes the Jaguar again of Eddie Irvine, who is down in 16th position. He's been lapped 3 times, and you're seeing 1, 2, 3, 4 cars, and now they're all coming up to lap Eddie Irvine, and they're led by Jarno Trulli.
Coulthard having a stab up the inside there. Ralph Schumacher didn't make it. Eddie Irvine's had a nightmare of an afternoon, hasn't he? He's going to end up being at the start of the next race if he's not careful. He's so far behind now, but all credit to him, at least he's carrying on.
But this is, look at this, this is real motor racing. Lap 3, 6 to go at the end of this one. Schumacher looking good, but Villeneuve trying to get past Coulthard. Coulthard trying to get past Ralph Schumacher, who is trying to get past Alexander Wurz, who is right behind Jarno Trulli, and they all go underneath the bridge and down towards turn 10, the casino hairpin, even in these conditions, doing about 170 miles an hour. Incredible.
Yes, and you saw Villeneuve still fighting his car a good 200, 300 metres out of the corner, and that often is the case as the torque of the engine, as you come into the peak power delivery, it can just loosen and light up the rear wheels once again, unexpectedly in these conditions.
Now this could all end in tears because they're driving through great balls of spray, knowing that they're very close to the car in front, that the car behind them is very close to them. If there's one false move, they could take each other off.
Coulthard very slow out of the last chicane. Surely Villeneuve's going to have a run at him now down into turn 1. They're just out of the picture you're looking at. Truly being super cautious. No, Villeneuve nowhere near. Coulthard running wide yet again. But it's a slow corner there. Must be 35 miles an hour in the rain. I'm surprised they're not staying inside more there. I used to find in the rain here a lot more grip on the inside. Tremendous grip between turns 2 and 3. You had to get back across the track in a bit of a hurry to get an entry into 3. They don't appear to be using that line anymore.
We're with Jacques Villeneuve in the BAR, chasing David Coulthard's McLaren. You can see that they've got the obligatory rear lights switched on, which they have to switch on when the conditions of visibility are bad. And they're certainly bad now, because as I said earlier on, you're in effect driving into a solid ball of spray, knowing as Didier Pironi suffered very badly at Hockenheim years ago when he went into the back of Alain Prost Renault, and that finished his racing career, that one false move and you're going to be in major trouble. We're on lap 64. Michael Schumacher is still ahead of his teammate Rubens Barrichello by 14 points. Michael Schumacher looking good for his 5th victory of the year at the present moment, to give him a really commanding lead in the World Championship.
It's the track beginning to resemble the boating lake on one side and the St. Lawrence Seaway on the other, as you watch Zonta fighting his BAR, taking a little trip across the grass there. Again, that'll be between turn 1 and 2. Yes, it is. And you may as well take the shortcut once you're in there. And they seem to all be getting away this afternoon without damaging the front wing as they go through there. So, and that is Fisichella in a lonely 3rd place. He's 21 seconds behind Barrichello and 5.8 ahead of Häkkinen. Häkkinen now beginning to close in. Yes, you just see Häkkinen coming into the picture there. So this is a scrap for the final place on the podium, and not many laps now left for Häkkinen to catch up, let alone make a move on Fisichella.
4 laps to be exact. We're looking at Mika Häkkinen now. And if Michael Schumacher stays where he is now, and Coulthard stays where he is now, and Häkkinen stays where he is now, Michael Schumacher is going to be leading the World Championship by my mental calculations by a massive 22 points, with another 10 races still to go.
Barrichello caught Schumacher by 4.3 seconds on the last lap, Murray.
Yeah, Michael, I guess, is just taking things very sensibly and carefully indeed, because Fisichella is 22 seconds behind Barrichello, who would act as a rear guard for Michael Schumacher. This is lap 65, so lap 66, 7, 8 and 9 to go. And coming towards us now, Jarno Trulli in the yellow Jordan, then Alexander Wurz 7th, Ralf Schumacher 8th, David Coulthard 9th, Jacques Villeneuve 10th.
Yes, there's 1 point available for the lot of them. All good cars, good drivers. Trulli's got that position at the moment, and now we're getting some serious standing water. This is when you start to need a bit of tyre pressure. You can see the rain from the heli-cam up there, and this is when you need a bit of tyre pressure that opens the tread up, clears the water a bit. We're now into some fairly serious standing water, and the drivers are going to be struggling.
This is magical, but you can see now what a commanding position Michael Schumacher is in, because he's able to make his own pace. He hasn't got any pressure from the front. He's not trying to get past anybody. He's on his 66th lap with just 3 to go. Rubens Barrichello is continuing to catch him at the rate of nearly 3 seconds a lap. But it would still be 2 laps before he caught the race leader as Jacques Villeneuve dives through on the inside, runs wide. Has he been retaken?
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure Coulthard must. Did he get back? Yes, Coulthard got back round again. And quite how Villeneuve threaded the needle through there without hitting anything was absolutely amazing. He committed, blocked a front wheel and just had to go for it. So Genet there having his own little accident, his own race, but I'd like to see another view of Villeneuve finally having a... Oh, and Villeneuve, and he must have...
Schumacher and Villeneuve both out of the race from the look of it.
Maybe Villeneuve did hit Ralph then in the end. So
yeah, there's
maybe
damage at the back. Look.
Maybe he missed Coulthard and slammed it. Here we go, look, so he goes... Oh, look, yes, he goes past Coulthard and did, actually. I wondered how on earth he got through there without hitting anybody. Ralph would have wondered where on earth he came from.
Yeah, I hope Ralph's leg is all right, because it was very badly damaged at Monaco, and he would have had a heck of a thump inside the cockpit there.
Yeah.
It's his left lower leg, which is very heavily padded.
Yeah, I mean, Jack, that wasn't a small mistake. That was way too deep into the braking area. Blocked a front wheel. We couldn't see it through the spray on the camera. I'm sure he blocked a wheel, and it's just amazing. You've got to take your foot off the brake, but the last thing you want to do when you're heading into an accident is take your foot off the brake pedal, but you've got to, and try a bit of cadence braking. But you're almost certainly going straight to the scene of the accident when that happens, into a hairpin in the rain.
Michael Schumacher tiptoeing round the course is on his 67th lap now. He's just started it. He's got 2 to go at the end of this one. David Coulthard, of course, has improved his position with the disappearance forcibly of Ralf Schumacher after being hit by Jacques Villeneuve, doing a bit of a kamikaze move there. But now Schumacher leads Barrichello by a diminished margin of just under 6 seconds. Fisichella is 21 seconds behind them. Mika Häkkinen is catching Fisichella, but not nearly fast enough. He's in 4th place. Jos Verstappen, a magnificent 5th. And Jarno Trulli still in 6th place. But Alexander Wurz is a man to watch. Well, there goes Wurz, there goes Coulthard. Trulli has pulled away from Wurz, and Coulthard in 8th position is catching the Benetton. It's remotely possible that David Coulthard will get past Wurz in the remaining distance. I don't think he can possibly then catch and pass Jarno Trulli to get a World Championship point, which he so richly deserves.
I don't think Häkkinen's given up on that 3rd place yet, Murray, that's for sure. Lap 66, the way he's now beginning to catch Fisichella, surely, I mean, he was 2 seconds faster on the previous lap. I think he'll be very close as they head into their last lap. Not yet, but as they move towards the end of the race, Häkkinen clearly has the much faster car at this stage.
Yeah, Fisichella really loves this circuit. 2nd last year, 2nd the year before in the Benetton. He's tremendously confident. We're watching on lap 68 now. Only 1 lap to go after this one. Michael Schumacher. There is Rubens Barrichello, who is really carving into the Germans' lead. It's down to 5.2 seconds. But that is because Michael Schumacher is going slower rather than because Rubens Barrichello is going faster, as we look at Jenson Button in 11th position. Ferrari. Schumacher, leader, 1 lap to go.
Yes, Jenson may be hoping to unlap himself, and that's your best way of scoring any sort of gains on the last lap if people trip over each other with a do-or-die effort. But Jensen a long way down the field in 11th place. So Michael Schumacher led from the beginning. David Coulthard, the only man that could stay with him because Villeneuve was holding the rest of them back. Coulthard had to make his stop-and-go penalty. That's a Sauber you see recovering, which must be... Salo is out of the race, so that must be Dinitz. So Coulthard making the stop-and-go, coming back in 10th place, hasn't really been able to move from that position. Fisichella launched up into the reckoning, and that's Coulthard and Wirtz off the track. Who can scamper back on first?
David.
Yes, Coulthard gets back on first. So they've obviously had a right, I'm going to brake when you brake moment into turn 1, as Michael Schumacher trying to go as slow as he can. Oh, there comes Coulthard seriously deep, and wow, they actually touch quite heavily, and a piece of front wing coming off there. Wouldn't be surprised if Coulthard doesn't get a little chat with the stewards on that one. Again, coming in from an awful long way back as they move into the final lap, Murray.
They are on the final lap, they being Michael Schumacher that you're looking at, and Rubens Barrichello, who is second, just over where he is in the background. It's going to be a Ferrari 1-2, assuming that they could do the remaining mile and a half or so of the Gilles Villeneuve circuit. And I hesitate to say it, but if Michael Schumacher makes this his 5th victory in 8 races, he's going to be a mighty difficult man to beat in the World Championship.
Yes, I think had Barrichello not been held up at the beginning too, he would have had a great race today. So close call between, I think, Barrichello and Verstappen for driver of the day, really. I mean, Michael's been peerless at the front. I think Barrichello and Verstappen have driven great races as they've come through the field. 15
corners per lap, and Michael Schumacher is on his way down to turn 10. It's going to be a formation finish for Ferrari. Forza Ferrari, they'll be saying in Italy, and rightly so.
Rubens never won a Grand Prix yet, and I remember when I was finishing second, looking just down the road like that, you think, there is a win, there is a Grand Prix win just in front of me. Must be so tempting for him to go blatting past and say, I'm terribly sorry, but I just had to get that first win in.
Here it comes, victory number 40, 4-0 for Michael Schumacher, into the last corner but one, out of it, and now Michael Schumacher wins the Canadian Grand Prix by half a car from Rubens Barrichello, who just respectfully keeps his distance but makes a point. As the Ferrari mechanics say, that was a good one. And Fisichella for Italy, Ferrari Italy, Fisichella Italy, and David Coulthard, Mika Häkkinen comes through in 4th position. Jos Verstappen is going to be a superb 5th for Arrows to get 2 World Championship points and do them a lot of good, with Jarno Trulli in the Jordan in 6th position. There are going to be 16 finishers, which is a lot more than we are used to in Canada. 8, 9 or 10 is the usual number of finishers. Time for a break, come back and find out about it more.
Get the air from me, it got more and more slippery track and flat. Right away, the Coulthard. Häkkinen finished 4th, Michael, 4th. Michael, that's great. Thank you, that was difficult, but that was good, thanks. Even with Paul, huh? Of course,
there was going on something, because my team informed me that they had whatever problem on the car, and they stayed on the car within the last 15 seconds, which obviously is not allowed. And so we guessed there was going on something, but honestly it didn't affect very much my way. I just drove my race, and David wasn't close enough to attack me at all. So I just went for my style. Afterwards, when he was gone, I took it a bit easier, just to make sure I will never run into a mistake or do anything wrong, and just took it easy, honestly, until then Rubens was out. Then I started going faster a little bit, because obviously it would have catched me up much quicker than Villeneuve could have done.
Now, as you said, you were still pulling away very well in that first section of the race. But was your first stop a bit earlier than you expected? There seemed to be people looking at the back of your car when you came in, and you're out of sync with everyone else. Yeah, we had some kind of worry going on through the race. We don't know what it is, but it might just be a sense of failing and giving us wrong information. But as I had such a gap, we took it safe, and I came in early, so they had a look at the car. They couldn't see anything, so off we went. And from that moment on, I just drove a safe race without pushing too hard. Now, just after the rain fell and you changed tyres, you had an off at the first corner. Was it very tricky? Were the conditions very tricky at that point? Yeah, due to the guess we had that we may have a problem and wanted to be safe, we put the brake buttons completely to the front on the car, and that meant that I locked up going into turn 1, and I couldn't stop the car anymore. It's such an easy runoff area that I decided not to risk anything, don't bring the car into a spin, and just went straight on through the gravel. But it wasn't a worry for me, actually. Michael, thank you. Rubens, once again, you seemed to get squeezed out a bit at the start. In fact, it looked like you may have let Jacques Villeneuve through. Was that the case, and did you live to regret it?
No, I'm not here to let anyone by. It's just a case that, you know, people seem to do such a good start, because actually a perfect start, because my start wasn't bad at all. I was able to run alongside Mika. Mika had a better start than I did, but in a way we were all the same speed there, and then Jacques came on the outside and run by. So it was a strange feeling. What we missed by 1 or 2 laps, my pit stop. So basically, if I had put the wets on at that time, I would have probably won the race. But it was very close, and I was telling Ross that it was raining more and more. Even though if it was only raining for 10 laps or so, it would still be quicker to do another stop. So, and then they said, okay, so you come in and stay behind Michael.
Thank you, Rubens. Giancarlo, another one of your very lucky tracks. It's your 4th time on the podium here, and down to the fact, really, that you changed tyres for your one and only time at exactly the right point. Was that luck, or did Benetton have a really good weather forecaster?
Well, the strategy was obviously for one pit stop, and in my car there was a lot of fuel, the maximum fuel. At the beginning was difficult, so I drove quite safe race. Then when it's starting to raining quite heavy, I called the team, I called my engineers, and I asked to have wet tires. So 1 lap later they called me, and we stopped in the right moment.
When you were out on the wets towards the end, Giancarlo, you were being pressurised from behind by Mika, and you had a slight off at the first corner as well. Was that just the pressure, or was that caused by something else?
Well, the problem was the downforce. We started the race with very low downforce, and in the wet condition it was very difficult to drive the car. So I drove very, very slowly, and especially after the pit stop, the gap between me and Mika was, I think, 18 seconds. So at the end it was raining very heavy, and for him was so difficult to be behind me. It's a great day for me and for the team.
Thanks, Giancarlo. Michael, McLaren had a very bad day today. They were 4th and 7th. You're now 22 points ahead of David, 23 ahead of Mika. We're really effective at the halfway point of the season. Are you thinking about the championship yet?
No, there's no need to think about the championship, honestly, because the golden rule is until mathematically you have no chance to lose the championship, that's the moment you can feel to be champion. And that's the way I see it. I have been through almost 10 years in Formula One. I have made many experience in this business, so I want to wait until it's final. Anyway,
I want to say congratulations to all the team because they've done a perfect job all weekend, and as well to my teammate because he protected me at the end as I was going very slow just to play safe, and he's a good man. So one day I will pay back for that, and thanks for that.
Thank you, gentlemen. Can we have a word from each of you now in your own language, starting with Michael?
Ja, Michael Schumacher die graag wilde helpen en in ieder geval niet voorbij ging, want hij was inderdaad duidelijk sneller, maar wordt hem wel een keertje terugbetaald later dit seizoen. Schumacher die ook niet te vroeg wil juichen, daarvoor loopt hij al wat te lang mee in de Formule 1. Hij mag dan nu wel 22 punten voorstaan op David Coulthard. Wil nog niet zeggen dat hij nu al zeker is van de wereldtitel na 8 races. In het geheel niet, er kan nog zoveel gebeuren. Dat hoef je de Duitser niet te vertellen. Die wel een geweldige race reed natuurlijk. Eindelijk weer eens een man die van pole position ook de Grand Prix heeft gewonnen. Voor het eerst in 13 races maakt Schumacher daar dus een eind aan die negatieve score. Ja, de stop-and-go penalty van David Coulthard. Hij hoorde in ieder geval over de radio dat er wat gaande was. Want er werd nog in de laatste seconde voor het begin van de opwarmronde aan de auto van Coulthard gesleuteld. Die moest gestart worden. Conform de regels mag dat niet. Dus wist Schumacher in ieder geval wel dat Coulthard een keer binnen moest gaan komen. Nou, voor de rest was er wel een probleem aan de achterkant van de wagen. Waarschijnlijk een sensor die niet helemaal werkte. Dus werd er eventjes tijdens een pitstop gekeken of er iets mis was. Nou, ze konden verder niks zien. En toen het begon te regenen kwam hij dus nog een keertje binnen om regenbanden te halen. Maar ja, voor de rest eigenlijk een makkelijke race. Barrichello was dus sneller dan Schumacher aan het einde. Maar kent zijn plaats bij Ferrari op dit moment. Dat is ook wel verstandig denk ik voor hem. Werd weer tweede. Zal het daar dus voorlopig even mee moeten doen. Misschien dat hij dus later dit seizoen nog een keertje kan winnen. Als Schumacher de buiten dan al binnen heeft. En dan nog Giancarlo Fisichella voor de 4e maal op rij op het podium in Canada. Hij kwam als enige dus 1 maal binnen. Precies op het goede moment. Had veel benzine aan boord in het begin van de race. En toen het begon te regenen, nou een ronde later was het duidelijk dat ze naar binnen moesten halen. Dan konden ze meteen regenbanden erop monteren. Absoluut goede beslissing. Goede tactiek van Benetton. En het leverde een podiumplaats op voor Giancarlo Fisichella. En wat hebben we ook genoten van Jos Verstappen in deze race. Lag nog een tijdje 19e. Want hij als een van de eerste binnen moest komen. Hij koos dus voor een andere strategie. Kwam nog wel een tweede keer binnen om regenbanden te halen. Maar vocht zich verder naar voren. En natuurlijk een beetje geholpen door de vele uitvallers. Maar zoals Verstappen aan het eind van de race een aantal heren inhaalde. Dat was toch wel indrukwekkend. Met name de manier waarop hij Woods pakte. En later ook Jarno Trulli. En dat bracht hem dus op de 5e plaats. Joe Ramirez van McLaren. Ja, die zal balen samen met David Coulthard en Mika Häkkinen. Häkkinen dan nog wel 4e. Dat levert 3 WK-punten op. Maar Coulthard helemaal niks. Zijn motor sloeg af vlak voordat hij aan de opwarmronde wilde beginnen. Daardoor kreeg hij dus een stop-and-go penalty. En daardoor reed de schot eigenlijk een kansloze race. Geen succes voor de local hero Villeneuve. Want die schakelde zichzelf en Ralf Schumacher uit. Nou, dat zullen we zo meteen nog wel even zien. In ieder geval de man op het hoogste treedje. Zijn naam Michael Schumacher. Dus was er applaus van mevrouw Schumacher en ook van Jean Todt. 40 overwinningen al voor deze Duitser. 4 aan de leiding in het wereldkampioenschap. 22 punten voor Coulthard, 23 voor Mika Häkkinen. Handdoek nodig. En Ross Brawn is natuurlijk ook blij. Hij bedenkt het allemaal. Werkte samen met Schumacher bij het team van Benetton. Dat leverde toen al 2 wereldtitels op. Vandaar dat hij op verzoek van Schumacher ook naar Ferrari werd gehaald. Ze hielden het niet droog. Maar ze zullen er geen seconde spijt van hebben gehad. Die toeschouwers hier in Montreal hebben een mooie race gezien. Nu ziet het koud is het niet. Eigenlijk alleen nat. Maar wat maakt het verder uit? Ze gaan huiswaarts. Jammer voor hen dat Villeneuve dus geen punten kon scoren. De man die zo geweldig weg was. Nog een tijdje tweede lag zelfs. Maar daarna weer terugviel. Het Ile de Notre-Dame in Montreal. Decor voor de 8e race van dit seizoen. Met Michael Schumacher dus op pole position. Hoog bezoek voor Jackie Stewart. George Harrison. Hier de hordenloper Edwin Moses. Ja, dat doet hij dan tegenwoordig niet meer. Hij praatte met Heidi, vriendin van David. Häkkinen op de 2e rij. En daar het probleem van David Coulthard. Moest geholpen worden om alsnog te kunnen starten. Bij die start was Villeneuve geweldig weg. Daar aan de linkerkant in het beeld. Häkkinen zit hier voor Barrichello. Maar dat zal later nog veranderen. Maar de grote winnaar was Villeneuve die schoof in één keer op naar de derde positie. En daar kwam Barrichello ook nog even voor Hakkinen. Hier de camera aan boord van de Canadees die registreert hoe goed hij weg was. Kijk naar de reactie van teambaas Craig Pollock. Maar ja, om succes te hebben moet je dat 69 ronden lang volhouden. Jos Verstappen reed dus zogezegd een goede race en vocht zich al in het begin van de race naar voren. Hier de stop-and-go penalty van David Coulthard. 10 seconden lang moet je dan verplicht stilstaan in de pits. Nou, die lijken wel een eeuwigheid. Dan volgt er nog even een glijpartij. Maar dan loopt het allemaal nog goed af voor de schot die uiteindelijk 7e zal worden. Het hier nog even aan de stok heeft met Jean Alesi. Barrichello voorbij Villeneuve. Vecht zich naar de tweede plek. Villeneuve heeft dan Hakkinen achter zich. En op dat moment Jarno Trulli op de 5e plaats. Ja, bidden geblazen bij British American Racing. Maar dan Hakkinen voorbij de Canadees. Logisch, de McLaren is sneller. Dan is het al vroeg in de race afgelopen voor Heinz Harald-Frenzen die in een rap tempo plaatsen verloor. Daar Nick Heidfeld, brand aan boord. Blussen dus. En even later was het ook afgelopen voor Jean Alesi. En dan begint het dus langzaam serieus te regenen. Hier de La Rosa in gevecht met Pedro Diniz. Glijdt daar van de baan af, want de heren hebben geen grip meer. Dus moet Schumacher nog een tweede keer binnenkomen om regenbanden te halen. Hij heeft voldoende marge. Ja, dan moeten die monteurs ook meteen aan de slag voor Rubens Barrichello. Dus moeten ze nog even wat banden ophalen. Dat is niet anders. Pech voor Barrichello. Even komt Schumacher daar met de schrik vrij. Bij de eerste bocht na start en finish. Loopt allemaal goed af. Dan het moment dat Diniz en de La Rosa elkaar raken en de La Rosa eraf schiet. Voor hem is het afgelopen. Diniz zou uiteindelijk 10e worden. Einde oefening nu ook voor Irvine. Kleurloze race. Jensen Button. Ook weinig van gezien. Hier Coulthard nog een keertje door het grind heen. En dan Verstappen. Prachtig zeg hoe hij hier Woods inhaalde. Misschien wel het moment van de race. En dan de zenuwen bij de monteurs van Arrows. En hier pakt hij dan Jarno Trulli. Schuift hij op naar de 5e plek. Gejuich. Ja, en dan moeten ze nog eventjes flink kruisjes slaan. Villeneuve doet dan hele rare dingen. In gevecht eerst met Coulthard. En dan kijk eens, ja, hier schiet hij rechtdoor. En pakt hij in de flank Ralf Schumacher. Dan is het afgelopen voor de mannen van British American Racing. Sorry, zegt hij tegen Ralf Schumacher, dat was niet de bedoeling. Nee, dat is logisch. En hier Coulthard die Alexander Woods nog even op een tikkie trakteert. Waarschijnlijk uit frustratie. Dan Ferrari dat de grote prijs van Canada met een dubbel op fraaie wijze afsluit. En dan is het ook feest bij Benetton. Want natuurlijk Giancarlo Fisichella het podium completeert met zijn 3e plaats. Prachtig. Dit is hem. Fisichella, dus ook knuffels voor hem. Cowboy Schumacher. En dit is de coureur Schumacher. Een hele goeie. 22 punten bedraagt zijn voorsprong nu op David Coulthard in het wereldkampioenschap na 8 races. En de volgende afspraak die wij met elkaar hebben, dat is over 2 weken in Magny-Cours in Frankrijk. En dan is collega Lammers er weer bij. Toch jammer dat hij deze moest missen.
Back with us in Montreal where it is pouring down. Now we have been checking the rule book and I think we've discovered the rule that cost David Coulthard very dearly here. Rule 139. Read it with me here. Before the formation lap, if any driver needs assistance after the 15-second signal, he must raise his arm, and when the remainder of the cars able to do so have left the grid, his team may attempt to rectify the problem. Tony Jardine, let's just take a look at what happened here and why David Coulthard and the McLaren mechanics contravene that.
Well, we're surmising at this point that he still had a problem with his clutch and he couldn't get his gears, which is why they had to raise the rear of the car. And now you see the wheel spinning. He's managed to get contact, but the green flag has already been up. He's inside the 15 seconds. They shouldn't have been on there. That's why he got the 10-second stop-and-go penalty. That is dramatic.
Okay, well, let's see what David Coulthard himself makes of it all. Here he is now talking to our reporter, Louise Goodman.
David, that one went wrong for you even before the start, didn't it?
Yeah, when I tried to take up my position at the yellow line, then when I pushed neutral, I obviously let the clutch out too quick to stall the engine. The guys got me started, obviously, before all the grid went away, but there's this ridiculous rule that says everyone's got to leave the car before 30 seconds. I guess it's for safety for the mechanics, but anyway, it deprives the audience of a good race, but there you go.
How did you manage to maintain your motivation in that kind of situation?
There's always a chance of getting points, and points is what helps you for the championship and the overall in the year. But
I spun with the rest, with one of the Arrows cars as well when it just started to rain, and lost a bit of time, and it just, like last year, just too many things went wrong.
You're taking a few risks at the end, I see, to get some points. Tell us about that last move on Bert.
You know, I didn't even mean to. I just arrived at the corner, and I couldn't see him until the last moment, so I jinked to try and avoid hitting him, and unfortunately for him, I hit his front wing. So I thought, oh, well, I may as well try that on Truly, because there's no point me finish 7th, you know, I may as well finish in the gravel, but didn't get close enough.
Finished out at the points, though, David Coulthard. Schumacher, 10 points. Rubens Barrichello, 6. Fisichella, so good here, 4 for Benetton. Then Hakkinen, the world champion. Jos Verstappen, what a wonderful drive he had for Arrows. And Jarno Trulli with a point for Jordan. And let's just see how that sorts things out. The overall standings, Michael Schumacher well clear again now, 56. Then Coulthard, 34. Hakkinen, 32. Barrichello, 28. Fisichella, 18. And Ralf Schumacher, 12. Sum it all up finally for us, Tony, could you?
That is a tremendous double red for Ferrari. It's great for Schumacher. He's been on holiday, by the way, with Corinna, riding his Harley Davidson through the States before he came up here. Very relaxed. Everyone else did the testing. But a glazier would be happy with the surface out there today. Yeah. Standing water, low grip track, and you could just see your face. You could see the underside of the car. Very brave. Verstappen, man of the match for me. Unbelievable.
Absolutely. OK, we return in a couple of weeks' time. Don't forget the highlights coming up a little bit later on tonight, repeated on ITV2. We come back with you from France in a couple of weeks, the full coverage throughout the weekend. A brilliant weekend here for Ferrari. A 1-2, Michael Schumacher, now the most successful driver in the history of the Canadian Grand Prix. But on their 500th birthday, a case of too many McLaren mechanics spoiling the party. Good night.
In the Jordan in 6th position.
Michael, a fantastic victory, a very important victory for the championship.
Very important, as you say, especially due to the fact that Rubens got in 2nd and Mika only 4th and David, fortunately, only 7th. It helps us looking forward, but it's still a long way to go.
There's a percentage inside of me that it's not happy, but on the same way, you know, it must be said that I respect the team very much. I respect Ross above all, and he asked me today not to force Michael into an error or to try to overtake.
So much drama, sadly so little time. But Michael Schumacher, top of the pile, 10 points. Rubens Barrichello, 2nd, 1-2 for Ferrari. Fisichella, who always goes well in Canada, 3rd. Then Mika Hakkinen, the world champion, 4th. Jos Verstappen, brilliant drive in the Arrows from the Dutchman. Jarno Trulli making his point for Jordan. David Coulthard, nil point for him in Montreal. And this is how things look then. Schumacher has extended his lead to 22 points. Then Hakkinen, Barrichello, Fisichella, who's finished every race this season. So Ferrari's 16-point maximum takes them 18 clear of McLaren. Fisichella, he's taken Benetton up to 3rd, 3 ahead of Williams. So then, Tony, we've had confirmation. Rule 139 is the one that has cost David Coulthard dear.
You're always throwing that rule book around, aren't you? But formation lap flutter, hearts were fluttering there for McLaren, a panic at the end for them. That final formation lap, and the green flag has already gone at the back. There's a clutch problem. They have to get the rear up into there. Finally, DC gets the wheel spinning there, but it's too late. The mechanics are inside that 15 seconds when they should clear the grid as the field have to go away, and I'm afraid it was a 10-second penalty.
Unbelievable drama, as we always seem to have in this place, and one incident towards the end really summed up what the drivers have to face here.
Treacherous surface. Glazier would have been very, very proud of this. Just look at Villeneuve, who's already lost out in the pit stops by going onto the slicks. Dramatic last lunge down the inside to get past Coulthard into 9th place, but he also takes out Ralf Schumacher. And towards the very end here, David Coulthard has a go at Wirtz, just gets into 7th place. Wirtz, who made his debut here, but atrocious conditions. No points for David Coulthard.
But still time for David Coulthard to make up lost ground.
It's only halfway through the season, Jim.
Good, OK. We're back in a couple of weeks. The full coverage from the French Grand Prix here on ITV. We've seen another very dramatic race in Canada. McLaren's 500th birthday celebrations ruined by Ferrari and Schumacher. Good night.
If you would like to know more about Formula One, the website address sponsored by livesport365.com is www.itv-f1.com.
Yeah, but very bad luck. What's caused you to retire?
Well, it's very disappointing. It seems to be when things start to go well, it always seems to go wrong in the race. Monaco is exactly the same, and this time it's a gearbox problem, because first ran in, I was probably just okay hanging on the back of Fizzy, and then it's the gear change downshifting started to get a little bit slow, so I was losing a bit under braking, and then actually when Ralph passed me, I couldn't get below 3rd out of the hairpin. Of course, he got a run on me, and then the next lap I got all the gears everywhere else, and then at the hairpin again I couldn't go below 4th, and then I couldn't get below 4th overall. I think it was 5th. So
talk us through that first corner. It looked pretty busy going around that first lap.
Yeah, but the thing, it was nice. It was busy but clean, and that was a nice thing about it. It was good that we didn't have any fracas.
Johnny, bad luck. Thank you.
Ja, also ein Getriebe. Und das würde für Häkkinen sprechen. Wenn es heftiger regnen würde, hätte der Finne den Vorteil, denn er muss sowieso noch einmal an die Box.
Both cars now blown up. How was it going before that?
I was going quite good, especially in the beginning. I felt the engine going down before, just a little. I think on the pit stop it just overheated, and I guess it's the same what happened for Jean.
Have you been having engine problems in testing, or is this new?
We've had engine problems all over the year. I thought they would have been sorted, but we've had 2 problems yesterday, 2 engines, 2 again today, so we have to work on that.
Very bad luck, thank you.
Ja, Motoren.
Ancora test in questa Formula 1 che a parole vorrebbe essere meno costosa, ma che in realtà è ormai in pista subito dopo ogni Gran Premio. A Magny-Cours questa settimana c'erano tutti, eccetto la sola Minardi. E tutta l'attenzione non poteva che essere centrata sullo scontro in pista fra Ferrari e McLaren, entrambe nei test francesi con tutti i loro piloti. Ma più che le novità tecniche sfoggiate dalla Ferrari, vedi i nuovi sfoghi dell'aria calda.
Il McLaren in crisi non mi piace.
Novità tecniche in McLaren invece nessuna, almeno novità visibili. Quella evidente invece è la pancia della moglie di Mika Häkkinen, ormai perfettamente visibile, mentre suo marito, Mika, un po' nervoso, è stato visto addirittura rifiutare autografi all'interno del paddock. Per il resto questi test a Magny-Cours in un quadro climatico in grande cambiamento, con grande caldo il primo giorno e addirittura minaccia di pioggia il secondo, ha visto parecchie uscite di pista, fra le quali quella di Jean Alesi con la Prost, e anche problemi ha avuto Jarno Trulli con la sua Jordan. Ma ora il grande interrogativo è quali condizioni si troveranno per la gara, il Gran Premio di Francia in programma fra 2 domeniche. Qui il grande interrogativo su un asfalto liscio come un biliardo, troppo liscio, è trovare la trazione necessaria. Vedremo chi sarà più bravo a utilizzare ciò che è stato studiato in queste prove.
9 anni dopo l'ultimo Gran Premio a stelle e strisce a Phoenix, la Formula 1 ci riprova a sedurre gli americani e non poteva scegliere altro che Indianapolis, 1 milione di abitanti, il 70% bianchi, nel cuore dello stato dell'Indiana. Da 100 anni patria per eccellenza delle corse made in USA, cioè quelle tutte scontri e sorpassi sullo Speedway, l'ovale più famoso del mondo. Una sfida costosa e ambiziosa, quella di far conoscere ed apprezzare la Formula 1 agli americani. L'ha lanciata Tony George, rampante quarantenne erede dello storico proprietario dello Speedway, che lo acquistò nel 1911 per $1 pugno. 2 anni di lavori e un investimento di oltre 100 miliardi per costruire all'interno dell'immenso ovale un tracciato adatto alle Formula 1. Siamo andati a verificare quanto è stato fatto e quanta attesa c'è per i nostri eroi europei. È stato progettato per essere un circuito veloce, adatto alle caratteristiche delle Formula 1. I lavori della pista sono terminati e per la fine di settembre saranno ultimati anche i lavori delle infrastrutture. Sono certo che la Formula 1 sarà contenta di tornare a correre negli Stati Uniti, proprio nella capitale dei motori nel mondo. Sarà davvero un giorno speciale. È fatta con i Prix, cioè con i mattoni, la linea di partenza del famoso Speedway, il catino di Indianapolis, dove si corre la 500 miglia e dove si correrà qui il Gran Premio a settembre. E da qui prende il suo soprannome, Bricks Yard, cioè la pista pavimentata con i mattoni. Nel 1909, quando nacque, fu pavimentata con 3,5 milioni di questi mattoni. In questi giorni Heinz Harald Frentzen, in avanscoperta, ha percorso con Tony George il tracciato che comprende la curva 1 dell'ovale e poi si snoda all'interno del grande prato che racchiude persino un campo da golf. Il rettilineo è piuttosto veloce, l'interno invece è più lento, ma si faranno comunque dei sorpassi. Dove in questo momento sono posizionati quegli altoparlanti verrà costruito il muretto dei box e potete notare quanto è larga questa pit lane, addirittura larga più del doppio